Hello and welcome to Divisive Issues, the foul-mouthed, spoiler-filled comic book podcast where two fans and two non-fans and an occasional guest talk controversial, noteworthy comic books and comic book history. I'm Ryan.
I'm Sly.
I'm Phil.
I'm Daryl.
I'm Joe.
What?
Joe is back.
Oh no! I guess this is the end of the event that when I replaced Joe.
I came out of the Speed Force to take my place back for one time.
Yes.
You really
Joe
are
is...
like the Wally to Joe's Barry.
And much like in the story we're going to talk about, Joe was killed off in an event, and then his main writer was like, "This sucks," and unkilled him. So, guys, we're here at the end of our road.
We made it, but we didn't really.
I would say, in a way, that I think Kraven's Last Hunt is like, that's where our podcast should have ended, and this is like the really terrible, awful, garbage finale.
No, this is the ending the show deserves.
Yeah, this is the kind of comic that we were made for, really.
Ultimatum is the ending the show needs.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll be discussing the 5-issue miniseries Ultimatum by Jeff Loeb and David Finch. The series that, even though it didn't end the Ultimate Universe, it sure should have.
It ended basically the Ultimates used to be like the biggest push Marvel had at the time. Like if you read like any of the magazine, like in the newspaper, they'll have like comics for free sometimes with like New York Post and stuff, and they'll give you an issue of Ultimate X-Men, like
Yes.
and Ultimate X-Men Legends game. It was like the Ultimate X-Men costumes. Like they were really pushing like the Ultimates as the main universe. Mm-hmm. Ultimatum ended all that. It became
they really pushed the Ultimate Universe to kind of be the new, awesome, kind of like accessible Marvel universe where you didn't have to read like 400 issues to know everything that was going on. But the problem is eventually when you reach 60 issues, you begin to get unaccessible again, and that's where this story comes in.
Yeah, we're gonna get to some like weird comic book bullshit, even in like this story. Like already, Ultimate Universe got its own continuity heavy lore in just 100 issues of content.
And for the most part, up until this point, the Ultimate Universe was, I think, creatively and financially really, really successful. Where, yes, there are some bad things, like we talked about Ultimates 3 just a couple months ago, that's terrible. And
some
like
would argue
X-Men,
Ultimates 1 and 2, but...
Yeah, but I understand the appeal for Ultimates 1 and 2, even if I wasn't a big fan of them on the reread. But, like, overall, the Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Fantastic Four, and Ultimate X-Men franchises had a lot of cool, and like Ultimate X-Men kind of peters out by the end, to put it lightly, but like for the most part these franchises still had lots of pretty A-list writers at the time.
Especially by the time like Ultimates 3, it says Road to Ultimatum on the cover. If you see like on any of the Ultimates covers, you know that's when it stops being good. Basically all the books just turn to trash at that point.
Yeah, and even like the ones that are really good still had a lot of damage control to recover. Like, Ultimate X-Men eventually got good again, but it still had to do a lot of heavy lifting. Same thing, Ultimate Spider-Man had, like, a weird era around here.
Can you guys remind me what Jeff Loeb wrote that we've read? Because I feel like he's trash.
Ultimates 3, but he also... You ever read Long Halloween?
He's wrote some of the most beloved comic stories, like, ever made.
Yes.
And that's not like a sarcastic. He's Long Halloween, Dark Victory, all of the Marvel Color series. His Batman Superman run is pretty good for a while.
He wrote Heroes?
You wrote Heroes.
Yes.
So he wrote The Good Hero, Season 1, and The Bad Hero, Season 3.
Okay. Because I'm like, this writing was like atrocious to me, and I'm like, I feel like Jeff Loeb is a name that I hear as like being touted as like, great creator, but
refresher, Jeff Loeb used to be one of the greatest writers in comic book. Then, unfortunately, tragically, his son Sam died.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I remember you guys talking about him.
Yeah, you guys covered that in a past episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Ultimates 3. Yeah.
I've listened to the show from afar.
You've been staying up with our continuity.
Yeah.
He's been watching over us from Speed Force.
Yeah.
For sure.
From the I've been in the same room with Superboy Prime, Earth 2 Superman, and Lois.
You guys are skipping the most important thing that Jeff Loeb ever wrote, which was Teen Wolf.
Oh, yes, Teen Wolf. And Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh boy.
He's had a career. He was also the head of Marvel Television for a very, very long time.
He was like Marvel's TV guy.
Until like very recently,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, like he was producing the Netflix shows, right?
Yes, he was a big part of that.
Because he actually has a like sometimes he uses his name for good, which he did in like the Netflix shows, but he has a huge weight because his name is one of the few names like casual readers will know because people start with Long Halloween all the time. So no, like Jeff Loeb is a good writer, and then they'll give Jeff Loeb whatever projects he wants, pretty much.
And he has like he also like created the New Nova and like that. I really like his work on that, and like he does still occasionally have good stuff in the modern age. Like Captain America White was really good, but Ultimatum's not one of those things.
I heard the Cable book he did was pretty decent too.
Yes. And but then he also like showed up to the Iron Fist conference dressed in basically yellowface. So like not
Really?
great.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's not great.
Yeah. Okay. He dressed like in like I guess like a gi and like I don't know. It wasn't
Okay, that's
That's not like
it
paint in
wasn't
your
full
face.
yellow face,
Yeah,
but it was like
I wouldn't go that
questionable. It was also at the same time that Marvel's editor-in-chief was revealed to be, I think it was editor-in-chief, was revealed that he was secretly writing under an Asian pseudonym for years.
Yeah,
for some reason.
So in the 2000s, there was like Marvel, like not manga, but like very Asian style comic books. And the writer was like this Asian named Ashida Yotamada or something like that. And people were like, wow, cool, Marvel got a diverse new voice. Trying to be just a white guy writing weeaboo shit.
So Jeff Loeb is somebody that's at the forefront of a lot of great and controversial moments in Marvel history. So Ultimatum is this 5-issue mini that was supposed to shake up the universe. And it was hailed as, like, I wasn't reading comics at the time, but it was like a big deal.
Shake up or end it or like really reset it.
I guess reset is a good way.
It can be the same thing.
It's there's a lot of it's funny because it seems like the story can't make up its mind because it seeds stuff for future stories and never went anywhere, and it's ending a lot of stories full stop here.
It's so this whole thing. To me reading it, I kind of felt like the entire thing was pointless. It's not a good story. There's no like interesting characters. The main conflict with Magneto is kind of like dumb and nonsensical.
Yeah.
And it really serves to do is just kill characters.
Yes.
To me, like reading it, I'm like, this is just like you're just lining characters up and being like, which one's gonna die, and then you just shoot all of them.
Yes. So this is one of the reasons why it became very difficult to continue the universe after, because like almost all of the recognizable characters were gone. So some writers did do a lot with it. Like Jonathan Hickman told some really, really interesting stories with Thor and with Reed Richards. And like there is still some good stuff there, but the universe itself never recovers from just the sheer body count that this book racks up.
The only relevant story like currently is Miles Morales later comes out of because the Ultimate Spider-Man is released to Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he basically disregarded the writer of Ultimate Spider-Man disregarded Ultimatum entirely.
Yes,
so like nothing here happens here matters to Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that Ultimatum, when it debuted, the first issue was the #1 selling book of November 2008 with 114,230 books sold, but it lost almost 30,000 of those readers by the end, which is still a shockingly high amount of hold on, I think. For this book.
Events always fucking sell. That's how
that's true.
That's why I make them.
It's also crazy to me. Like I think there's a hard it's a hard balance to strike where you want to allow characters to die and it not be like everyone has plot armor, and it doesn't always have to be like a big dramatic thing. Like I'm like I can appreciate characters dying unceremoniously as a concept.
Yeah, where it's like no one has like a heroic sacrifice where it's like, I'll get these orphans out, and then you die, and then you have like a big like splash page.
Like
it's
I appreciate.
There's a lot of people in here that are just like they're dead. Like someone just rattles it off. It's like they're dead. They're dead.
Yeah, or just walks up to them and kills them, and it's like I can appreciate it conceptually, but the way this book does it is so shitty.
Some deaths make literally no sense. We'll get into.
Yeah, there are a few deaths. Like for the most part, a lot of the deaths actually do work for me in this book. As far as
I'm shaking my head. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. No, but like as far as like if you want to do a high concept, not high concept, I guess like a high stakes, anyone can go at any time story. I think this does this very well, but there are a few deaths in here where they just seem very mean. and they just feel like kind of pointless. Which we'll get to when we talk. We'll get to that.
There's
later.
a lot of deaths that are off screen.
Yeah.
Which
I'm fine with that though, to be honest. Like a story, like
I'm
if
not-
you're
I'm not,
doing
like-
a universe this is a universal-wide story. You're not going to be able to have the death of Captain Britain and Juggernaut and other characters who
No,
wouldn't impact the story
spoilers.
as much.
Juggernaut.
It's funny. I had this exact same argument. I remember, as weird as this is going to sound as a comparison, but I remember having almost a verbatim argument when the seventh Harry Potter book came out, where a lot of deaths are off screen, and like it's kind of the same thing where it's going for this idea that like this is a war, not everybody gets to have a big heroic finish.
Yeah.
Well, at least
And
those characters showed up in the story. A lot of characters that died never even set foot on the page. Like if you,
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just saying, like, I agree with Phil that conceptually, it's, I understand what he's going for, whether it's handled well or not, we'll get into as we go through it. One other thing before we get into it, what do you guys feel about David Finch's art?
It's beautiful.
It's pretty good.
It's beautiful. It is epic. It sells the story so well. I reread this, I think, for the first time in a couple of years. And I just remember being like blown away by a lot of the splash pages, the detail that goes into it. We'll cover more as we go through the story. But if you're going to read this book, for nothing else, just read it for the art, because the art is gorgeous.
I'm a big fan of Finch's art in general. I do think his women can get a little
Cheesecakey.
it's very nice.
cheesecakey.
I think
it's
in
90s.
general. In general, I think that like the 90s is the best way to put it. Like the guys are so unrealistically buff, and the girls are so hourglass, like gigantic boobs. Like it's like everyone
really
is
90s.
Yeah, it's like super accentuated. Like even characters who are not like strong as their power are just gigantically buff.
Yeah, but I do overall think Finch is a great artist, and I think that he is the parts in this book that really work for me are it's him carrying it for sure.
My Finch, I love on like the big scenes. There's one thing he like when he does for some reason when he draws close-ups on eyes, they look like bobble eyes. For
His
me.
eyes get a little weird. Doom in particular kind of was giving me some anime vibes throughout all.
Yes,
this,
exactly. Like
his eyes
the
are
eyes are
really
too
big,
big.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, I never felt like Doom's eyes were like the focal point of him.
In the Lady Gaga Bad Romance video, Lady Gaga puts on these contacts to make her eyes huge. That's how many David Fincher's characters look like. Their eyes are huge for some reason.
Sometimes he gets it right, and then other times the ladies will have like big.
And that's not me. I don't want to shit on Fincher too much. It's just always off-putting whenever you like. Doctor Doom is a good example because his eyes being bobble eyes, like wow, that's weird. That's weird looking.
I do just want to point out, David Finch is the artist, David Fincher is the director.
All right, so what happens in this fucking story?
Yeah, tell us.
Okay, so it opens with zoom in on like the Baxter building, and you see Reed. He's got a wedding ring box behind his back, and he's like, "I think you know how I feel about you." And she's like, "Maybe I do, maybe I don't." Reed Richards.
The one thing, we've covered a lot of the Ultimates franchises and stuff, but the one thing about Fantastic Four is it's still the same kind of family that you know, but they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Even
Yes.
Reed Richards and Sue Storm.
Which
from the
was
Ultimate Universe.
weird for me. It's hard because it's like I love the Fantastic Four being like kind of like an adult family. Like everyone's an adult. Like either Johnny's in his like 20s, but like Reed and Sue being in their 30s. So I'm like, I don't know how I feel about them being teenagers, but also they kind of don't matter in this story. They do because it like focuses on them a lot, but they
do, but not as a team.
Yeah, and they also just don't contribute that much to the plot. It's mainly about them like seeing the plot happen.
Uh-huh.
And so like Reed wants to propose, and then you see like Ben Grimm weightlifting with this machine, and then Johnny's downstairs talking to his father.
And his dad's like, "You should be like your sister." And he's like, "No, compare me to my sister, Dad. Fuck you."
Yeah.
Cuss Avengers. Iron Man is like a caricature
The
of Iron
Ultimates.
Man. He's like Ultimates, Ultimates. And Iron Man says, "I want how practical it'd be to take a bath in martini." He's like, "You know what? I think Captain America, you need to loosen up, have a drink." It's like a caricature of alcoholic Tony.
What's kind of interesting too is like everyone, because Loeb introduces so many characters in this and really focuses on the X-Men rather than like the Avengers team themselves. You don't even get the feeling of Steve being that like conservative, like pro-America hero.
Every
from all
character
this.
gets like a one panel to establish personalities. If you don't get it from one panel,
this is like the best panel in the book where Thor says, "Better, verily, thy skills have improved tenfold, Valkyrie." And she goes, "You should see me in bed, Thor. Very verily." I'm like, "Right, cool, very good."
And then you have...
Whoa, that's... So I'm reading the trade, and that's not the line in the trade. Did they change it?
What's the line in the trade?
It says, better, Valkyrie, your swordplay has improved tenfold. And she says, swordplay, foreplay, it's all good as long as I'm with you, Thor.
I guess Jeff Loeb's like, I didn't think that line was clever enough. I gotta change it.
I love the idea that they had to go back and be like, no, this is what needs improving.
That at least is a little more clever than you should see me embed Thor very verily. Yeah,
that's true.
Man.
That's
I like Jeff Loeb staying up at night, like, I should have said that. God damn it. Change the trade.
I mean, this is a pretty off-putting like second page. I was like...
So a lot of this first issue is just like introducing people panel by panel, where it's like, hey, anyway, here's Ant-Man in the Yellow Jacket uniform now, because I guess he just wanted a different suit.
Here's the X-Men. Here's the Ultimates. Here's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's riding a train, and is he dating Kitty Pryde?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
he was at this
Yeah, I was
point.
gonna ask Ryan, who is he dating at this point? Because he has all three love interests, I think, on the train.
No, he's not dating Kitty Pryde. I believe they're very good friends. She's like his one superhero friend. It's been a really long time since I read the Ultimate Universe, but I remember them being like really close.
And Mary Jane has like her hand on Peter's arm to hear.
I think they were dating at this point. I don't remember. It's been
Then
fucking
why would
ages.
Mary
Yeah,
Jane have her
I don't
hand on
remember.
Peter's arm?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, Mary
I remember
Jane,
the point.
Gwen Stacy, and Kitty Pryde are all there with him. And he's just like...
And also some guy.
yeah.
If you're Ultimate Spider-Man, you know what that is. It's Colin.
Is Gwen Stacy also Carnage at this point?
Yes, let's not get to that.
What?
He turns into Carnage?
Continue. No. Continue. Let's keep moving along.
Alright, so just really quickly, Carnage killed Gwen Stacy in the Ultimate Universe, and he like sucked her soul out. And then when Carnage turned to Gwen Stacy later on.
I'm so glad that we're ending this podcast with me going back to thinking comics are so dumb.
Oh yeah.
I'm so glad we're hitting all the high notes of this story.
This is what we said by this point. And not to...
Wait, if no one listened to our previous episode, this is our final episode. We should make that clear.
Oh yeah, we should, FYI. But yeah, this is kind of stuff we're talking about where Ultimate's already got its own convoluted history by this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why we need to kill everyone and reboot it.
Yeah.
And then the X-Men are walking down the street, and they walk...
By X-Men, it's Beast, Dazzler, Nightcrawler, and Angel.
My favorite
Yes.
thing about this dialogue is that it has to establish who all these people are. Spoilers, it's going to kill them later. But it's like, dude acts like we're invisible. That'd be virtually impossible. Allison, I don't think you were supposed to take that. Her literally, Hank. What's that supposed to mean? Kurt? Come on, Warren.
Yeah.
It's just like that.
At least it's not like that. It's not like, what's that supposed to be? Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like that awkward, like, just putting in there the names just to be like, these are the characters of that are here.
Yeah.
This doesn't really
It's
matter
standard
because
first issue stuff.
it doesn't really matter because it's dead by literally like the next page.
Yep. So then lightning starts striking, and then you get a whole bunch of people looking around like, oh, what's happening? And then suddenly you get like this big page of just these waves rushing over into New York City and just pretty much just killing everyone that's in
Yeah,
the
like
streets.
it's like a gigantic tidal wave just like drowns Manhattan.
Yeah, this is when I was talking about Finch's art. This is the stuff that I really liked. I think he does disaster pages incredibly well.
Which is why he's perfect for this book.
Yeah, he's very good with like detail.
Like this is a beautiful double page spread of Manhattan just getting wrecked.
Yeah.
He's built for like event comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like Reed takes Sue and starts, makes his body a balloon to float off. And it shows like the Thing grappling with the whale saying, what the fuck is going on? And then
Literally, that's not.
Johnny and his dad are just like underwater.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Does it say, like, is it like a curse?
No,
in-
it's bleeped.
It's the Growlix.
Okay, because in the trade it says, what the heck is going on?
Oh my god, just Loeb, stop editing your stories.
Oh,
God
this
damn
is
it.
great.
That's so funny.
Wait, so
this is the best.
the trade came out after?
Yes,
Yes.
the
Yeah,
trade-
I love this idea that the problem was like in this story in which, spoilers, someone will be eaten. You have
very
to
gory. You see blood and
change a
guts everywhere.
swear to heck.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, Johnny's dad is underwater, and spoilers, he's dead. And then you get like the waves crashing against the buildings, and like Joe said, you get like Ant-Man coming out, and it's this beautiful page of him just shouting Jan.
And he's like so Gene, he's Cyclops mode. He's doing
Yeah.
Jan,
Bruce
Jan over
Banner
again.
under the water turns into the Hulk, and then why does he say, "Why is Big Clock Thing watching Hulk"?
I don't know.
Because Hulk's never been to Times Square, except he definitely has.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
Like, because there's like this weird totem thing.
Yeah, that's not normally there in Manhattan, right?
That's what it looks like. It doesn't look like a regular building.
I was like, this is obviously an alien monster or something.
But yeah,
No,
I don't know
no,
what like
it's-
I don't know what that is.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's
and it
a
never
seed
comes
that never
up.
went anywhere, like everything else we're gonna get into.
Oh, that's randomly in the water. I didn't even notice that. I just assumed he's just looking off at Times Square and being an idiot.
It could be something that leads into like a side issue, like if you're reading Ultimate's Hulk or something, and then he has to like fight it the next issue.
You didn't even
Who
have
knows?
a book.
There was no Ultimate.
I don't know exactly what happened.
Oh my god!
I
This
believe
is
Jeff.
not the only time this will like
Yeah,
something
yeah.
random will show up and then will never be addressed again.
I believe Jeff Loeb was put in charge because he started writing X-Men and Avengers after Ultimatum.
Basically, after Ultimatum, he took over Ultimate X. Well, he launched Ultimate X, which was like a combination of like the X-Men. It was like a half X-Men team and a Hulk book with like a couple Avengers characters on it. But it was like so delayed, so I think he only wrote like a couple issues.
5 issues.
Oh,
And
yeah,
you know-
it's like 5 issues and it was super delayed, so like he never got to actually pay off anything of these beautiful setups wasted.
Yeah, he also wrote Ultimate Avengers as well, which is not a
Yeah, oh, I forgot about that.
Yes,
book.
so
Yeah.
I believe he got called to be a TV writer again, a TV producer again, which is why so basically he just set up all this stuff and never went anywhere with it probably.
Yeah.
So Kitty Pryde takes Peter Parker that they're in the train. She phases him through the ceiling of the subway car, and she's like, "You need to go and be Spider-Man because people need help." And this is where I was like, "Are they together?"
Yeah, I wish I remembered. Sorry.
I'm like 99% sure they were at this point.
Yeah, they're a lot more coupley. Like Peter and Kitty is a kind of a crucial plot to this book, or a big part of it. And
Yeah.
if they're not a couple, reads kind of weird.
She says, "Stop being all cute and go." I'm like,
Probably.
I mean, like, she's very forward if they're not together.
Yeah.
If they're not together, she's trying to be.
I just don't know how flirty
Yeah.
Ultimate Kitty is with other boys, especially someone as
Yeah, that's
attractive
true.
as Spider-Man.
No, she's dating.
So-
I'm like 99% sure she's dating.
He
him.
swings
I
away,
remember this being a
and
thing.
then we have like just Angel underwater, and I'm like,
So Angel, the guy with hollow bones, because
Yeah.
he has to have wings, right? He's the best swimmer out of all the X-Men, apparently. He's the only one
Also,
who
yeah,
survives
wings
fucking
underwater,
tidal wave.
like-
Yeah,
Great. Okay, go ahead.
No, but he needs to live for his big moment later on in the story.
God. So he saves his Lady Allison, but she's actually been dead. I figured that like, they're lovers too. So this is showing you like the toll, the cost of this tidal
Yeah.
wave attack, and you get like Captain America looks like he's drowning underwater, and then Iron Man saves him. Which I'm like, if the subways were able to not be flooded, but like Iron Man's apartment, I'm like, that's maybe he's living in a like.
For what it's worth, the subway that they're riding is like a Brooklyn subway.
It's
that's
overhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought Iron Man
Yeah,
would be up
it's
really
like-
high too.
Listen, Daryl, we've already talked about how there's like alien statues that don't mean anything.
Okay.
Dad's gonna try to create positions every character.
Yeah.
Try
You're right. You're right.
That's
So
my job to be annoyed about that. But I've given up on like consistent world building in these kind of books.
Yeah. So Reed takes Sue to a roof, and we get our typical every like Sue Storm scene where it's like, you need to use your psychic power, like with the Jean Grey stuff too. It's like, you need to use your power to hold back the waves from crushing the city. And then she does it. She's like putting up a big force field around what's left of the city, but I can't control it. And then she passes out from stress.
And meanwhile, Reed's like, we both know who did this. And she's like, you can't be sure. And he's like, it's definitely the Submariner.
Yeah, it's Namor, which I love.
I also love Ben goes and tells Reed that Johnny's probably dead. Ben does not give a fuck that Johnny's dead whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's like, but Johnny's dead. Let's keep moving.
Yeah, because he comes up here, it's like, hey, can you tell me what the hell is going on in 25 words or less? And it's like, by the way, I think Johnny and Sue's dad they're dead.
Yeah, and he had no reaction whatsoever.
Yeah, he never liked him anyways.
I remember Ultimate Johnny Storm being a much bigger dick than even regular Johnny Storm. Too,
Yeah,
so
I think
fuck him.
so.
Yeah,
I think it's a fair guess that this could be an underwater supervillain type of attack. It's not.
Yeah.
okay. So it's still believable at this point. It gets comical later on. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So then Reed hops into his Fantastic Four like boat, and then goes and finds the Submariner because he's like, hey, I knew you would come for me because
Namor
you saw
says
this
that,
big
yeah.
wave.
For
And
those
then
of
Reed's
you-
like,
I don't know if you ever talked about Submariner on the show. He is Marvel's Aquaman, basically. But,
Yeah.
but like kind of like dickish. He flooded New York himself in the Marvel continuity at one point.
In like,
The Golden Age, yeah. His
1940,
first
yeah.
appearance, he floods Manhattan.
Not his first appearance.
It's like his second appearance.
so it is him.
In the Golden Age?
Yeah, it's like his
Okay,
fourth-
never
fourth
mind.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in. I believe it's in Human Torch 5B because there's two issue 5s. Just
I can't wait to be done with this.
Marvel Comics #1, right? That's when he does that.
So he sees the Submariner, and he's like, you killed them all, my Sue. And Namor's like, I could care less what you think. I had nothing to do with the destruction of New York. And then Reed wraps himself around him and then, like, tasers him in the back of the head, being like, you think I didn't come unprepared? And then he's like, wait, so if it wasn't you, then, like, who did it? Because Namor says he didn't do it because, naturally, he wouldn't want to kill Susan, the love of his life.
Yes. So,
Which is weird because Namor is old and Sue's a teenager. It makes more sense when she's an adult.
Oh, yeah, that is weird. I didn't even think about that.
to be fair to Ultimate Universe, dude is Wolverine Jean Grey too. Wolverine is like 50, Jean Grey is like 16.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pedophiles
That's
about.
weird.
Also bad.
So then we cut.
To be fair, there's a bunch of pedophiles.
So then we cut to the best man in the world, Doctor Doom in Latveria, and we get this big anime zoom in of his eyes. It's
Excuse me, a continuity error. At this point in the Ultimate Universe, Dr. Doom's supposed to have goat legs.
Yeah.
Way to go, Jeff Loeb.
That's actually, I like that. That's cool.
Fuck you.
So Doctor
I'm
Doom.
like saying he's the best man in the Ultimate Universe. He fucking ums himself because he set up all the stuff in Ultimate 3 to kill Scarlet Witch, and now Laveria's fucked. Laveria's frozen over and everything.
Yeah, so he's like, where the devil is everyone? And he says, Dr. Mary Storm. I'm like, is she related to Sue Storm? Does anyone know, Joe?
Yeah, Doom has their mom. I'm like, Doom.
Yeah.
Really?
I wouldn't. I mean, it's Ultimate Fantastic Four. I don't really know.
I assume so.
The only Ultimate Universe stuff I've actually really read is like Ultimates, and a few trades of like Ultimate X-Men, and Ultimate Spider-Man. I really have no affinity for the Ultimate Universe, which is why I think I probably find this story so fascinating. But I'm going to assume that's probably, Mary Storm is related to the Storm family.
Yeah, it's very logical.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because he goes
dead,
outside
yeah.
and literally,
Everyone's
like
dead.
Sly said, everyone's been frozen to death. Everyone's just dead here.
Just a fun fact.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's
So I'm
cackling.
looking at the Marvel Wiki right now, and apparently they tried to retcon it later when they were like, oh, the Doom, because Loeb just forgot about the goat legs. They were like, oh, that the goat leg Doom was the real Doom. This Doom is Mary Storm in disguise.
Okay.
Very good.
All right.
So Mary Storm goes outside.
All right.
Mary Storm,
And she
where am I?
sees Latveria frozen.
Yeah, Mary Storm's like, Mary Storm, where are you? Goes
That's
outside.
hilarious. Where are you,
So
Mary
in the
Storm?
trade, does he say Dr. Mary Storm?
Yes.
All right.
I was wondering
So-
if they just changed that. To,
Anyway.
people froze not
Yeah.
slowly. Like it was an instant freeze. People are carrying plates and froze to death immediately.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the X-Mansion, and Xavier is on the ground, and he's, like, in pain.
He feels like 1,000 or 1,000,000 souls cried out and were suddenly silent. Whatever.
Basically, he sends out a path of communication to the whole entire world, like Fantastic Four Avengers, saying, basically, because he and Magneto used to be buddies, and basically Magneto had like this plan, like he had a theoretical plan where he could use his magnetic power to tilt the Earth off its axis and basically fuck up the Earth. And so Professor X is like, I never thought he'll do it, but now he's doing it. We have to all team up and kill Dr. Magneto, basically.
And so, if you remember at the end of Ultimates 3, Magneto's son was murdered, and
So his
Wanda
daughter.
was
And
killed
daughter.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both killed. Wanda was killed by the DNA-seeking bullet, and then Quicksilver, I forgot how he died.
Me too. I already forgot that story.
So, but
I forgot that they died until then.
the stinger is
I was
that
like,
Magneto's sitting up here, and he's like, yes, bring everyone Charles so they can see for what they've done. They'll have to pay the ultimate price. And he's got Thor's hammer by his side, which I forgot about too.
Oh, yeah, he stole that.
It's so crazy because he gets to wield it in this. I'm like, is he worth? I guess he's worthy in this universe.
Yeah, he has magnetic powers. I don't know if the worthiness thing's even a thing. In the
Oh
universe.
yeah,
But then
it
okay,
should just be
whatever.
like a normal hammer weight, not like killing. I guess throwing that hammer with whatever.
You're like picking like this makes sense in the lore of this universe. Like this is most.
But no, but his weapon is it's a pretty big part of Thor is that he has a hammer that only the worthy can wield. And it's like,
in story this bad, I do not give a shit about these things.
All right.
So, Joe, issue 1, still your favorite event comic ever?
I mean, it's up there. It's Heroes in Crisis.
Oh my God.
There's just it's got a lot going for it.
That is the true heavyweight battle of event comics. So we have issue 2.
Wait, I'm going to go on record. I genuinely find this book entertaining.
It is entertaining.
It
but
is
not-
entertaining.
It's never boring. It's never boring.
Yeah, that's true. Every page there's a new thing.
We can talk more about what I think the merits of this book are at the end, but I read this and I'm genuinely entertained.
But did you guys ever, during it, want to continue reading? Like,
No.
I kind of did.
No, but I'm not supposed to. It's the end of the Ultimate Universe.
It's pretty short. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing is so much shit happens in.
yeah, it wasn't. It didn't drag, but after each issue, I wasn't like, I gotta kind of interested to see what happens next. At least with Heroes in Crisis, I was like, who killed all these?
I will say I think Heroes of Crisis is better than this. It's more admirable in its intentions.
Ooh,
I mean,
ooh,
I guess-
disagree.
I don't know. That's for me. That's a real.
This is just. I mean,
different shit sandwiches.
yeah, the different flavors to sandwiches. Do you want to have like
Different
attempt at a serious story that botches like every fucking attempt, or do you want just complete like purposeful trash that just slams trash into your face? I don't know.
I want dumpster fire that does what it's supposed to, which is destroy the Ultimate Universe. Which this story does a great job of doing.
Yes,
It does
it
do a
does.
really good job of just killing this universe.
It does what it's supposed to do. We're gonna wipe the slate clean and
it's so
have
weird.
like a bombastic, ridiculous, like over the top, like crossover story.
There's so many loose ends by the end of this too.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and I don't think it does a good job at that. And also, even if you're ending universe, like a world-ending story has the most opportunity to be good and like actually like high drama and character moments. And this story fails in all those regards.
So
Gideon Wolverine didn't do it for you later.
Issue 2 starts with a character moment of Spider-Man just expositing while someone he's saving from a crashed car buried on top of him is like, Spider-Man, you're quipping too much. You should shut up and keep helping.
they said, please stop talking and help me in a low voice. And he's like, I'm working on it, pal. And he says, why does all the scary stuff have to happen at night? And half of New York has been destroyed. This is literally like 1,000 9/11s at once. It's like, and
Yeah.
Spider-Man's quipping while helping this poor guy. I'm like Loeb,
It
what are
might
you
be
doing?
It's a coping mechanism.
yeah.
for him.
It is.
Multiple times in Spider-Man they say it's a coping mechanism. That's how
Yeah.
he
He doesn't. I don't know how. Like people just do that kind of stuff when, like, people
But,
take nervous laughter when
You have to get to a point like if he was doing this at a funeral, you wouldn't be like, well, it's just a coping. It's like, wow, this is like really, you're not supposed to be doing this.
I don't know. I'm always the one who has to quip at the funerals.
Classic
I,
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think
I would argue a lot of people do like joke at funerals just because they find it easier than to just be solemn all the time.
It's more that I find this guy complaining to be really silly. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, he's still helping. He's not like, let me finish my bits before I help you. Like, he's picking up
The guy is the fucking goofball here.
Yeah.
As Spider-Man's helping this guy out, he says, hey, you giant man person, I a little help here. And it shows like all the giant men, because it's like, this is still the Ultimates universe, but these guys never appear again.
I think I just want a book of just double splash pages of like disaster like porn with this.
I feel like you want like prints from this more than anything, more than
Yeah.
you even want a story. You're just like, I just want to see this beautiful like art.
It's so good. It's so pretty. This page is so nice.
It's really good.
But we're referring to the giant men from the Ultimates 2 where they sold off, not sold off,
Yeah.
but like basically how auction, I don't know what to say. Like they gave giant men's powers to other people so they can do instead of him.
Yeah.
And then the Hulk lifts up the car. He's like, Hulk, help Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like, oh boy.
This is the last time the Hulk will help Spider-Man this issue.
And then it cuts to Iron Man. It doesn't
basically,
even
yeah.
make sense why he's helping him here, but whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It cuts to Iron Man bringing in bringing Captain America to the hospital. And we have a nice pose.
It's actually S.H.I.E.L.D. Bring it to S.H.I.E.L.D., which is relevant because Carol
okay.
is head of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she's like,
So this introduction
Right,
is
yeah.
what started garnering a lot of criticism because they were like, wow, this is a busty lady for like no reason.
she is really busted.
Oh.
She's
okay.
actually the one I noticed. I was like, wow, those are big.
Those are big knockers right there.
I mean, this is like gigantic.
Yeah, it's pretty cheesecake.
Yes. So Captain Marvel's here. Although she's not Captain Marvel, she's just a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent here.
Yeah, because Carol Danvers is the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. now because they left Nick Fury in an alternate universe thanks to Jeff Loeb also.
This was before even in the modern Marvel. This is like when she was still Miss Marvel in the modern.
Yeah.
When she, like before Captain Marvel's even a concept. For
Carol, yeah.
For Carol, yeah.
And then they're trying to resuscitate Captain America, and Iron Man's watching, and he's like, I hate hospitals. And then Carol tries to, like, help him. It's like, I know you'll be going after Magneto. Let us help. Communications, ground support, whatever. It wouldn't have to be like this if it was under Nick Fury. And then Iron Man goes, Carol? And she goes, shut up. I'm like, that is, like, the picture-perfect like panel of the Ultimates universe, where rather than being like, you know, like an adult being like, I don't want to like hear this right now, it's just Iron Man's just like, shut up, and you're like, yeah, look at this Iron Man. He's like,
to be fair to Jeff Loeb's writing, it is supposed to be he's like traumatized a bit, I think. Like he doesn't want to hear Carol's shit right now.
I mean, her shit is like, we want to help you.
I agree with you, but I think the point is, it's not like, wow, he's so good. I think the point is to be like, wow, Iron Man's really on there.
I know,
right
it's
now.
just, it's one of the things that I was thinking about when I was reading that panel, that I was just like, there's nothing I care about in this universe. There's no character I want to see better. It's like everyone's just kind of like a mean asshole to each other. It's like, I mean, Spider-Man might not be, I don't have enough time to get to know him, but everyone else is just like mean and out for revenge. And this book, especially since it's like disaster and then revenge for disaster, is
I do want to point out, Ultimates is not the Ultimate Universe. There's a reason why Ultimates was like a mini series, because no one would want to sit through a whole series with all those characters.
Yeah.
Don't let the Ultimates were purposely assholes on purpose. Don't judge the X-Men and Fantastic Four based on the Ultimates.
Yeah, and like Ultimate Spider-Man is like, in my opinion, one of the greatest comic books ever written.
Yes.
But anyway, so we actually do see next something close to a character moment.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's Hank is now super, he's super giant man, and Hawkeye is trying to get his attention, and he just keeps yelling like Jan, and Hawkeye like
Jan.
Yeah, grapples up, and Hank grabs him, and he's like, I should squish you like a bug. But Hawkeye's like, listen, I know what it's like to lose, because in Ultimates 2, remember, his family was killed, and he was like, I know what it's like to lose the woman you love, and nobody needs that kind of pain, nobody. So even though we don't get along, let me help you. I have enhanced eyesight, like, I'm Hawkeye, I can help you find her, because she was shrunk down when everything, flooded, so they're having a hard time finding her. And it's just like, they're actually talking to each other, kind of like people, except for the part where Hank says, I'm gonna squish you like a bug.
Yeah. Also, God, Hank, look at how buff he is. Look at those arms. I'm
He's
like
a scientist.
90s, baby.
It's like more than Arnold Schwarzenegger's arms.
Look at all the sinewy tendons in his forearm, too.
Oh my God, he's so buff.
So then we also have Ben with Sue in the hospital, and Sue's in a bed. She's in like a coma.
This scene is like leads to nothing. All it is Sue's powers keep going off.
Sue doesn't do anything here. It's kind of like all about like Reed. Like Ben's just here to be like, oh, what the heck is going on? Like we lost Johnny, and I can't.
No, but also Sue's powers are going off even when she's unconscious.
Yes,
she starts
that's like
that's what this scene is.
Yeah,
which again leads to nothing because she's not part of this story.
Yeah,
and then Reed Richards is driving Namor's taped to his boat.
I love this.
Taped to his boat with his arms.
I love
I'm like,
this
that
scene.
must
he's like,
hurt.
I don't care if Charles Xavier said it's Magneto's fault. I know you were part of this, Namor. I'm going to put you in jail.
I love Reed Richards' like post-traumatic stress. He's just having this massive like PTSD breakdown where he's just like, no, it's not Magneto, it's you, Namor. You did this. You have to have done this.
Yeah.
And he's just
This
going
actually
crazy and losing his mind.
As an aside, this is actually one of my favorite parts of the entire Ultimate Universe. Not necessarily this page, but what gets spun out of this. Because after this book, Reed's PTSD gets so bad that he actually becomes a villain for the rest of the Ultimate Universe, which I find like fascinating. And one of my absolute favorite things is like in this universe is this like Reed Richards gone bad because he just like couldn't help his family, and he failed where like the Reed Richards from the main universe always succeeds. And I think that like that is the one good thing to come out of Ultimatum.
And it wasn't really Ultimatum, it was Ultimate Enemy, really, that character.
Yeah, but like it was, like Bendis picks up these threads.
Yeah, because he's obviously like
It's
Joe
like
saying.
it's foreshadowed here.
Yeah, and that also led to the idea that every Reed Richards besides the mainstream Reed Richards is basically a sociopathic supervillain. Basically, just because Reed got the Fantastic Four as a family, he managed to avoid the fate that every other Reed Richards had in every other dimension, pretty much.
Yeah, and when a writer was exploring that in Fantastic Four, simultaneously having another universe's Reed Richards be a villain is like pretty powerful, I think, about like the effect that his family has on him. But anyway, then we meet Power Princess.
So Dr. Doom's ship shows up and the tractor beams up
Reed
Richards' boat, and he's saying, "What'd you do to my ship, Namor? What did you do?"
I love that. It's so funny.
Yeah.
What is this, some Atlantean battleship?
And then
Doom's like, I can't believe people say you're as smart as me. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then Doom's like, it's a Magneto. He offset the magnetic poles, creating this ecological nightmare. So that's how all this is happening.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would
That's
happen.
especially like people freezing instantly is.
That's what I was thinking. The Latveria stuff is actually the craziest of it all because, they had the frost. It wasn't that they were just froze to death, cold. Like they became encased in ice,
Yeah, they were flash frozen.
Yeah.
Like,
and
they were-
not the rest of the land. Really, it was still cold there, but the buildings were fine.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Well,
whatever.
in the immortal words of the Insane Clown Posse, fucking magnets, how do they work?
Yeah,
like
whatever.
the tidal wave shit makes perfect sense. Like that would happen, but I don't know.
So
Whatever.
Doom's like, hey, we got Power Princess here, and what we need to do is
Princess Power. Okay.
No, Power Princess.
It says the squadron's Princess Power in this.
Oh, well, in the trade, they fixed it because it's supposed to be Power Princess.
Oh, Loeb. Anyway, he says, what we need to do is we need to rescue Nick Fury from another universe. I'm like, what is Nick Fury going to do? Does he still have connections? Does he still have plans? How does...
He has guns.
He's a dude with connections. That's his thing. If he's been away for a while, it's what connections does he have? But whatever.
Well, we'll see. His secrets change the course of the story. So
So...
everyone just made Nick Fury, motherfucker.
But what's funny is if they knew that that's what he had, then they would also know those secrets.
Yes.
And then they wouldn't need him.
They might not know what he has, but I guess it's like the Batman thing where you assume he has weaknesses of everybody. So
So
Yeah, but
Yeah.
They need Nick Fury back, so let's go get him. Is what it amounts
This is what happens because Nick Fury was not in the Ultimate Universe at this point, so let's bring him back. So he brought him back.
Well, maybe if Jeff Loeb wanted that, maybe Jeff Loeb shouldn't have been the one to leave him in the alternate universe.
he was. That's so fucking hilarious.
The weirdest thing to me is you have the two of the smartest people in the world, and they're like, we need someone else to solve a magnetic field, error.
Yeah, what the? Why don't they make an invention? That's what
Yeah,
Lucius
they get
always
together
does.
and they're like, we need Nick Fury.
That is really weird.
Anyway,
That's
you
a good
have
point.
Thor flying on Pegasus, being like, we need to find Valkyrie, I need to find my love. And then he finds her on the ground, near a destroyed Statue of Liberty, and she's dead. And he's like, no, this is wrong, things must change. And so he teleports down to the land of the dead to see Hela.
goes to Valhalla.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's wearing a thong, and she's got
Yes.
this weird BDSM stuff on as well. It's just
So
come on.
this,
I like if you're in hell, you would have a BDSM outfit.
and that's what you think. Like it's assumed demons are sexy as fuck. That's the assumption, isn't it?
I think it's a fair assumption.
I know, but it's just so fucking weird. That ties into the Christian anti-sex stuff. I
Yes,
feel like.
it does.
It does.
So Thor's here and he's like, I'm not leaving here without Valkyrie. And she's like, okay, then fight this trash mob of just zombie men soldiers.
It looks pretty sick, though.
And Trash Mob is basically explained because this is pretty much Thor in a beat 'em up level in an arcade game.
I felt like
beating up-
this was the fetch quest, the filler mission you have to do before it's okay, and then Valkyrie comes back and then you go on the main quest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this is a pretty game.
Can you guys hold on? I think I might be slow again.
You are. Okay. Hela tells him, defeat my army of fallen warriors and you'll be rewarded for a price. And so, as Thor is fighting all these guys down, I will not leave without my lover. You see a American shield, cut off a skeleton's arm, and it's Captain America. He's like, I don't know how I got here, but we'll figure it out when this is over.
Yeah, so Captain America is still in the real world. He's still on his deathbed, but now his spirit is fighting in Valhalla.
Yep. And then,
Cool.
It's a neat
Yeah,
scene.
it is kind of cool.
Yeah, like
Now, no, you mean you guys are talking about the scene that's about to happen, right? The best scene in the whole book.
and then Ant-Man is carrying Hawkeye, and he's like, wait, I see something. And Hawkeye explains it's you need me because I have enhanced sight.
yeah.
And so he drops him down, and as Hawkeye's running forward, he runs into the Blob, who is eating Hank Pym's...
Eating Janet.
Yeah, he's eating the wasp, and he's saying, as he's eating her, tastes like chicken. And
And when we say eating her, it's not eating her whole. He's biting
he
into her
ripped her, he
stomach.
pretty much ripped open her stomach, saying he's eating her guts. It shows her guts. It's not silhouetted. It's not you see obscured. It's
terrible.
It's
It's really
framed
gross.
front and center to let you know it's she is dead and she is getting eaten.
Yep.
And I want to say the one thing about Ultimate Blob. Previously in Ultimate X-Men, he was not exactly this kind of super edgy character, where his main role during Mark Millar's Ultimate X-Men was catfishing Beast to think that he had an online girlfriend, but it
Wow,
was
what a
really the
jerk.
Blob, which is pretty funny.
I mean,
But
that's kind of worse than this.
I don't
I thought you were
know
going to tell me
about
Ultimate Blob was vegan for a second, and I'm like, oh no. This...
Yeah, so it was so this sucks and is gross.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, when I got here, I was like, oh, because I remember you guys saying, like, because she flies into the blob's mouth in Ultimatum, you guys made some joke about, like, he actually eats her later or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't remember that at all. I was like, this was another comic that I had no idea when reading this, what you guys, if it's supposed to be good or bad or whatever. So reading this, I was like, let's see what this is about. And then when I saw this, I'm like, okay.
He actually asked me, like, he set me aside, like, the other day and said, Sly, please don't tell me Joe likes this.
I was afraid that I was going to come on and everyone's going to be like, this is a great book.
Yeah. It's always the gamble you take when you're like, I don't like this. Then you come on and it's like, this is my favorite story that's ever been written in humanity. And you're like, oh no.
So Joe, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So I know, like, a lot of us really like Finch's art, but you're, I think, the biggest fan of all of us. Do you think what do you think about the way he draws this, like, super gross stuff?
Gore.
Yeah.
This particular gore or the gore he does in general?
Well, I guess this particular, but, you know, if you want to talk about it in general, I think that's fine. Because to me, I like the hyperrealism that he has in a lot of stuff. Not with the muscles and stuff, but, like, I like his people seem like movie star versions of people. But, like, this to me it's a detachment where it feels monstery.
Step too far?
Yeah, it feels a step too far where it doesn't. It feels out of place to the.
I would argue. I think this is a.
I think it's supposed to.
This is a really
I mean, I think he should look.
Yes,
worse,
I say
yeah. This should be horrific.
yes. This scene I think is drawn as best as it probably could be. It's just that it's out of place in what I guess it's not out of place.
It's also combined with, like, the taste like chicken.
It's not if the scene is bad to me. It's if should the scene exist.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it another way, too. And again, for me, it's like the taste like chicken is just this weird, like, tonal, like, it's the black humor that the series really hasn't, like, shown before.
Yeah.
Look, it's nothing personal.
Yeah, that's what Bob says to her. That's what Bob says to Hank, and Hank eats his head off. Spoilers.
Wait, spoilers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have to see this other scene between Magneto and Professor X.
Yeah,
first.
so Magneto shows up to Professor X,
Good
and
old
then
Chuck.
you get their classic thing. It's like Professor X doesn't call him Eric. Yeah, he just calls him Magneto. And he's like, so we've come to that, no longer referring to me by my name. And he's like, what can I say? It's like, you're basically a monster. You've been, like, killing everyone. You've murdered, like, thousands, and that I will hunt you down. I will lead the charge no matter how good you are, or no matter what good you think you're doing. You'll only be remembered as a madman like Pol Pot, Bin Laden, and Hitler.
Yeah, he compares it before this. Magneto compared himself to a god, saying, "I will cleanse the earth." God cleanse
He
the
says
earth.
this a lot. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, God didn't like what he created. He washed it all away in 40 days and 40 nights. So I'm going to do it in 3. And then
Yeah.
Charles is like, you're not God, though.
You're more like Hitler.
Yeah, and then Magneto gets pissed off and snaps his neck, which I found really weird because like that's a very hard thing to do in real life. Like, and Magneto has so many ways to kill Professor X. It's such a weird way to have him killed.
It's a personal way to do it.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
personal.
I'm like,
Also,
does Magneto know how to snap necks? Like, that's a really hard skill to have.
The thing, Slice, I feel like in all fiction, it's like almost anyone can knock someone out and almost anyone can snap a neck. It's this weird thing that you just, like, it is real hard to do. But for some reason, it's like you just accept in fiction. You're like, okay, I guess snapping necks is easy.
And especially because it's Magneto who can kill him in any conceivable way possible. He can have his wheelchair crush him or something, but no, it's...
Well, Mr. Sinister in Ultimate X-Men, Mr. Sinister had already picked up Charles Xavier and thrown him down the stairs.
Yeah.
So they had to change it up.
And he also does say, Magneto says, every time I failed in the past, you had a hand in it, and like I have to kill you because every time I do anything, you're just there fucking up my plans.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's a good scene in that it, it's okay. It's as if there was no turning back before. There's really no turning back
Yeah,
now.
because now Professor X is dead.
It's a logical end to the Magneto Professor X relationship, in all honesty.
Or you turn him into Onslaught, which is fun.
So then you get issue 3, and on the cover it has the Blob holding a chicken in his right arm, like a drumstick. And I'm like, that's just, come on, that's tasteless. And so,
Oh, come on, that's clearly not Janet's thigh.
no, I
It's
know,
fine.
but it tastes like chicken. Well, he's like, whatever. And so we open. I don't know why. So it starts and it shows the Scarlet Witch, and she's like, Dazzler, Beast, Nightcrawler, Drown. She's basically saying everyone that's dead. It's like Emma Frost, Sunspot, Cannonball, Polaris.
Yeah, we killed Emma Frost. We killed Sunspot. We killed Polaris.
Basically, X-Men, they had like the core 5 members or so, and then they introduce more and more members over time. They basically announced all the X-Men except like 6 people are dead. All the X-Men characters are dead.
Yeah, and this is where also she lists a lot of characters off screen. You know, like all this other school is all dead. All these other characters are all dead.
I love that there's a body toll at the end of this. It shows you, like, it lists everyone that died in this, which is where I saw Captain Britain. I'm like, wow, they killed him off screen. And then there's only like 3 unconfirmed, like they don't know what happened, are they alive or dead, and one of them's Havoc. I'm like, is he important enough to be like, who knows if Havoc's alive or dead?
The thing about Havoc is a lot of times when Cyclops is not around, because Havoc is one of these things. He's always been in the shadow of Cyclops, so when Cyclops is not around, Havoc gets pushed up a lot, and spoilers, Cyclops will not be around after this story, so I think Jeff Loeb was setting up something there.
Is his name Alex?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. I'll take away something from this podcast.
Scarlet Witch is saying this, and she's saying it to Magneto, and she's like, "Did you do this all in my name, Daddy?" And she's like, in her
she's super
sexy
sexual
outfit, like bending
like,
over
She
him.
just dong on again. Another dong on.
Yeah, this was really poor taste by Mystique. I don't know why she did this.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Like if this was my second in command to kill the world, and she was like pretending to be my dead daughter and like rubbing all over me, I would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm like,
This is the problem with like Hero Season 3. It feels like it's there just for the shock of Scarlet Witch is alive. What?
Yes,
and then
that's exactly what
it makes
it's
no
there
sense
for.
character-wise. Why are we doing this?
yeah.
What I think is great about this scene is that you hear the news telling about all these terrible things happening around the world, and it seems to be like most of the destruction is actually done by an army of suicide bombing Jamie Madroxes.
Yeah,
Which-
so multiple man has been captured by Magneto, and he's just forcing him to make lots and lots of dupes and strapping bombs to them and throwing
This
them.
is, I think, a great idea if you're a supervillain. like it's actually like ingenious. Like you have infinite amount of suicide bombers. Suicide bombers can do like disproportionate amounts of damage, and if they're not actual like thinking people, they're just like kind of like walking bombs. Then
That's a crazy amount of explosives that he's making, though, because they're all over the world.
And I was wondering like how
He's a floating asteroid. He's got the resources.
how can Magneto hold multiple man? Like I don't know. That seems like how's he have this much control?
he also has Thor's hammer in his hand right as he's talking about like whatever.
So Magneto gets mad that Scarlet Witch is looking there, or Mystique's dressed up as Scarlet Witch, and he's like,
dressed up.
yes,
He's
change
a
into her.
shapeshifter.
Yeah. And do you see he's holding the hammer? He's not even
Yes,
like lifting.
yes.
He actually can wield the hammer.
Yeah,
And-
he's worthy.
And so he says it's like they branded me as a terrorist and madman, but I'm quite certain that I will, like, I'm everything but mad. I'm going to change everything. He says, I have plans for you, Mystique, specifically you. Do not disappoint me. And spoilers, he doesn't have plans for
No,
her.
he doesn't. No.
I was trying to figure out, it's like, okay, why are you keeping this girl that's shape-shifting into your dead daughter? And it's like, when you're like killing the whole world, it's like, why not kill someone that would piss you off like that? So I'm like, this has to be important. But then behind him, a multiple man. He's like, you've killed mutants, Magneto. You've turned on your own people. And he has a suicide vest on. And then Magneto's like, you're not even Madrox Prime.
And he throws a hammer at him. I love that Daryl had to point this out because this adds to nothing to the story. I guess it's to show Madrox is upset he's being forced
That
to make
he's
this
killing mutants, I guess. And so Magneto's like,
But wait, so my question with this though was then, are all the suicide bombers sentient? Like, are they all? Because I thought his powers.
not
Yeah, that's why it's so stupid. That's why it's so fucking stupid, Dad. Because like they're all.
Did he convince them all?
Yeah, it's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid.
I assume so. This is. I don't know why I feel the need to explain this, but the way I always read it is that because they mention that he's torturing him at some point, and I think that he's just like, go do this or I kill the Prime, Jamie.
But wouldn't they want to live themselves?
But if he dies, I think they die.
But they die anyway. So why? Like,
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
That's-
okay. I take back my whole smart
just
idea.
like out of character stuff. That's actually a big problem for Ultimatum. Like he has trouble controlling his clones because they want to do what they want to do.
Because in the scene where they showed the scene of them all running with a suicide vest, I'm like, these guys must be mind controlled. Obviously, like if you look at the bottom left panel in that splash page, they look like they're mind controlled. But I guess they're not. So then my whole point about this
they're
being a
just
good idea is
soldiers.
not a good
Yes,
idea.
so
So.
never mind.
Anyway, Magneto's like, I get to choose who lives and dies. Those that remain will
I'm
be
God,
grateful.
yeah.
They'll find themselves on heaven on earth as he brings the hammer back to his hands. And then you have, like Joe was alluding to, Ant-Man picks up the blob, or Hank Pym picks up the blob, and says, what did she ever do to you? She was perfect. And he's like, hey, pal, it was nothing personal. And then he bites off his head and spits it out and says, it was only personal.
Yeah, so Hank eats Bob's funny
He
at all.
picks up Janet. You get another scene of just like her rib cage busted open with her guts, and he's like, "It's okay, Jan. It's going to be fine." And then
And Hawkeye's like, she's not okay. She's dead. And he's like, shut up. I'm gonna save her. I'm gonna be.
And
a
I
hero.
do like. We've been with Hank Pym for a long time, and we've known his struggles with Janet, and this is kind of the only thing that's been like grounding him to any kind of reality, because
Yeah.
he is very unhinged, and after losing her, like he's pretty much just lost himself.
This is one of my favorite parts of the book. Is Hank just being like, I could save you. I could put you in a robot.
Yep.
That seems like another.
Classic
That
Hank.
seems like another.
It is. He did that in the main universe. That's what Jocasta
I was gonna
is.
say, he says Jocasta. I think that was a tease
Yeah.
for something that never happened.
He does. It's,
Yeah.
the Jocasta project
Yeah.
or something.
Oh, that's why because they just mentioned the Jocasta project later on.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? I thought it was because Jocasta's Oedipus's mom. I thought it was just Jeff Loeb being weird and incestuous again.
No, just like he created Ultron in this universe Vision, he also created Jocasta.
Okay.
Yeah, in the main universe, he creates Jocasta, and she's like an android, and just like Vision had
Wonder Man's
the like personality of Wonder Man. Yeah, she has like the mental imprints of Janet.
Of Jan, yeah.
Okay. So then in the sewers, we get a splash page of just him stumbling upon a dead Nightcrawler.
This page is weird because it's just the X-Men finding out the other X-Men are dead, and they're like, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird too because you've already like covered. It's like these are all the people that are dead, and then it's like, do you have to show all these people just like up and look, they're still dead, and then it's like Angel's like, oh my god, Beast is dead and Allison's dead.
The only like important thing is that Angel's an idiot. He's just like, I'm gonna go fight Magneto by myself. The X-Men are like, or something like, you're fucking stupid. You can fly, motherfucker. What are you gonna do against Magneto?
Angel's like, I can take on the entire Empire by myself.
Yeah.
And then Jean Grey gets a shock of Charles Xavier being dead. Like
She tried
tries
to
contact
reach him.
and-
Yeah.
This is the most fucking pointless page. It's just them figuring out what the reader already knows. Goddamn.
Yes.
Yeah, but to answer one of your statements, Daryl, when you said like, the things like finding Nightcrawler and stuff, like it seems like why, we already know this. Why do we have to see it? It is some of Finch's best pages.
Yeah.
So like, I think to go with Joe's point, like, I think maybe just part of it is just like, even though it's like it doesn't necessarily serve a lot of plot purpose at all, and it seems like cruel, it's still like, I don't know, that's a full page. I feel like maybe Finch just wanted to draw a full page of finding Nightcrawler in the sewer or whatever.
I think the X-Men also need to know. The X-Men need to be away from the mansion, so Magneto can get in there, seemingly with no one protecting Charles. And I feel like you would search for your friends in the face of a disaster.
I agree with that. But the problem is, there's nothing else being relayed here. Nothing. It feels like there's nothing new being relayed.
You could also like Wolverine comes in later carrying Nightcrawler's dead body to show them he's dead, and you could just show that. You don't need like the full page of him being like, he's dead, which we already know, and then him bringing the dead body there being like, he's dead, and you're like, I already know.
Yeah, it's not using the pages. It's not using the pages to their full effect. Like, it's just that whole splash page could be cut and doesn't make much of a difference.
That's fine. No, that's cool.
So we go back to Valhalla with Captain America and Thor fighting, and now the zombies have blood. And then they kill them all, and Hela's like, okay, you've defeated my army and thus proving yourself worthy, but there's a price. If you take someone else has to stay. And Captain America's like, you know what, stay. That's probably why I'm here. And Thor's like, no, I cannot ask you of this. I came here to save
Captain
your
America
life.
says he wants to stay, and Thor's like, because he tells Thor, like, it doesn't make sense you came down here to save Valkyrie. It doesn't make sense that
For her to go back and you're not with her.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what's going to happen.
It's such a this whole plot was so boring because when Hela's like, there's a price, I'm like, it can't be just the typical underworld price of someone, a life for a life.
It is
But it's
so
like,
predictable.
It is. It's like,
So
okay,
predictable.
great.
Yep. And so then we have Iron Man's. It's also weird because I might just think of like too metagaming, where I'm like, Thor's life is a lot more valuable than Valkyrie, but that's not my decision to make.
Yeah, I thought so too. I'm like, no, you send the gods back.
Especially when Thor knows the world's being destroyed and stuff. It's like he would be a little bit more valuable than Captain America or Valkyrie. But again,
can I tell you guys something really, really stupid about what happens after this Valkyrie thing?
he comes back to life, I bet.
No, not only just that. So Jeff Loeb takes over writing the Ultimate Avengers book or whatever.
With
they call
Hela,
it.
right? This is another life for a life situation.
Yeah, and
Wink, wink,
immediately
nudge, nudge.
in his third issue, Valkyrie dies and lets Thor come back. Why did you do this? What's the
So
point?
it's like they
three-
switch places where she's like, I'll
Yeah.
die, and he comes back.
I guess she thought Thor was too broken to be up in this story to fight Magneto, even though it really doesn't matter how strong they are at the end. Like things just kind of happen at the Firefly.
Things just
So
got
Thor and Valkyrie are just like, but what if I'm dead and you're alive?
Yeah, that's what happens. She gets pissed that he did it. She's like, you know what? Fine, I'll do the same thing.
I bet it's for like shock value during the event, and then after it's like, okay, we can't not have Thor.
Yeah, it's really
And so Iron Man's trying to, like, he's with S.H.I.E.L.D. and they're trying to fight all these multiple men. I'm just like, this is just a crazy amount. Like, everyone across the world is fighting armies of this dude. I'm like, how quickly can he just make copies of
He
himself?
must have been like storing armies of multiple.
Well, how long has he been farming multiple?
Yeah.
And also, how are they able to travel this fast and stuff?
Do they have to eat and shit and stuff?
Yeah, they're people.
Yeah, they are. They're fucking human beings. I mean,
So
they're-
Hawkeye's like shooting them too, and then Hank Pym shows up, and Iron Man's like, "What happened?" He's like, "Get her inside. There's an encrypted file marked the Jocasta Project, and I'll take care of the rest of it."
I didn't get this at fucking all. So Hank Pym is like doing this noble sacrifice thing. He's like, oh, you multiple men, get on top of me. Why would the multiple men jump on top of him?
I love this.
I don't.
Yeah, I think this is why Phil's inference that they're being mind controlled is a very fair
That's
one.
what I thought,
Yeah.
right? It's like they don't look like they're humans.
Yeah, they're really drone-ish in more ways than they should be.
They're like Pikmin being thrown onto Hank Pym.
But even if they're mind controlled, why would they wait until they're all on Hank Pym and wait till he's in the ocean to do the least amount of damage possible? Why would they play into his strategy completely?
My favorite thing about the
It makes
explosion
no
too
sense.
is that it's not like multiple explosions; it's like one big explosion.
Yes,
from his
yes, it makes no
center.
sense.
Yeah.
Like, if he was being blown up continually and trying to pick up as many as possible before he got to the ocean,
Yeah, it'd be
that
very
makes
sad.
sense.
Wait, no, I know. It's because he says bring it, so they have to.
Yeah, he's doing a taunt check, and they failed their saving throw, and now they have to do it.
Taunt against the entire army, and they all jump on him. So it is sad though, as he's like walking away. He's like, "Get away from me, Tony! I made a lot of mistakes in my life. This isn't one of them. Tell Jan I'm sorry and I love." And then he blows up. I'm like, that is sad. It's just like, again, like nothing around it makes sense. And the fact that when you look at all the multiple men on him, I'm like, Shield has guns. They could have taken that many
Yes.
guys left. Like Hank didn't need to pull these
Yes.
guys. Like if anything, like if he threw himself over the Triskelion and then they blew up, tried to blow it up, I'm like, that makes a little bit more sense than just like him
Yeah.
being like, I'm gonna be like Godzilla, walk into the ocean and explode.
Yeah, but I think Hank's looking for a way out, though, at this point.
It makes like character wise it makes sense for Hank to do this. It's just that everything around this, why Shield can't shoot them by themselves, why Hack has to make the sacrifice. Nothing about this makes sense.
And even you could make this sacrifice scene, like you said, if they're just like storming the building
Yeah.
and he just like gets in the way, like you could do this exact thing with it making more sense.
yes.
Do you want to love, though? He makes Hank go in the ocean so that it's less dangerous when they explode. Which is also great, because, like, why... Like, it comes back to your point. Like, why would they explode in the middle of
Yes.
the ocean?
Yeah, why would
why?
they be like,
Yeah.
wait for it, wait for it?
It's like they're us, and they count down to 5, and like, all right, we're all doing it at 5,
Yeah.
right? And they all start the countdown just a little bit too
Yeah.
early.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So then we have Valkyrie over at Liberty Island, and she wakes up and she's like, "What happened?" And Tony comes and tells her, "It's like you're back here." No, she knows that Thor sacrificed.
Yeah. So she tells him that Captain America's alive, Thor's dead.
Then
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm gonna kill Magneto for it." I'm like, these are a lot of people that want to get revenge on Magneto, which is kind of neat. It sets up like the who's gonna be able to get to kill him. But I'm also like, a lot of these people just don't have power, so I'm like, obviously you're not gonna be.
Valkyrie does kind
Oh
of.
yeah,
have
she's
power.
got a little bit, right?
Yeah, I don't.
She
You never
does now.
explain that ever, so who knows?
Yeah. And so Captain America wakes up and he's like, "Oh no, not Thor." Then Hawkeye informs him it's like the woman, you know, Hank Pym's dead and the woman you both loved is dead. And then Captain America's like, "Okay, no time to weep over this girl I've been pining for like 3 series now. I'm just going to be like, everyone, we're going to find every available hero and it's time to save the world."
It's just an excuse to have a splash page where it's
Oh, yeah.
the 4 of them just looking badass.
Captain America's got quite the bulge on this page.
And we're not talking about his muscles.
yeah.
So, issue 4.
We were just pointing out that Daredevil's on this cover and never makes an appearance, but is dead.
You know what's weird? The trade doesn't have any covers in it.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Well, I was laughing because it opens with this is such a roller coaster of none of this matters, but it's just like reading this page by page is crazy because it starts.
This is my least favorite scene in the book.
This is
Thank
just
God.
a side plot going on with the actual.
Yeah,
plot.
it starts with an explosion because they're Hulk's in Doctor Strange's house just destroying things or something, and Spider-Man's like, Hulk, don't! This is filled with mumbo jumbo.
Wait, does your issue not start with the scene with Kitty and Logan?
Nope.
No.
What?
No, which makes
Oh,
sense
God,
because
this
this
is so
seems
fascinating.
extraneous. You don't need it here.
So we're giving too much clarity. It starts with just an explosion, and in the dialogue explain that there's mumbo jumbo. And Dr.
So in the
Strange.
trade, there's a scene of Wolverine and Kitty Pryde holding
That
Spider-Man.
happens later.
it gets-
That happens
it
later.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
later.
Wait,
so
they cut the
weird.
Hulk scene from the trade?
No, then the Hulk scene is after this.
That doesn't make any sense.
So
This has to happen so that
What?
Kitty can find the mask.
spoilers. This is how Jeff Loeb wants Spider-Man to die. So Spider-Man dies in this
No,
point.
he doesn't just die. He says, "No, Hulk smash bad. Smash opening bad doors. Let's out Hulk. Oh God, he's dead." And you're like,
Yeah, so that's how
"What?"
Spider-Man dies in the confusing splash page. And then it shows Kitty Pryde finding his mask hours later.
And she's sad. And then
And
Dormammu's
they freed
out.
Dormammu. I think what happened was Hulk smashes through Doctor Strange's place, releasing Dormammu, and
Yes,
as Spider-Man
yes.
tried to stop him, Dormammu killed him, I guess.
Or like the
Yeah.
energy explosion. He's one of the ones that at the end it's like he's missing, but again he doesn't appear for the rest of this. So for like all we know he's dead. It's so funny that he died saying Hulk smash bad.
And also, Dormammu has fucking
Johnny
Johnny Storm
Storm.
in his necklace.
No idea what that
somehow.
was
So
about.
Dormammu, Doctor Strange villain, is now loose, and Doctor Strange goes to fight him.
This is-
Well, it's like this was a tie-in for a story never got released. Like the story where Johnny Storm
It's
is
just
captured.
so crazy reading this because as it goes on, it's like Dormammu tells him, it's like, you know your own history, how your father and grandfather and your great-grandfather all claim to have the title of Sorcerer Supreme, with you being the last. And because you have no son, your lineage dies tonight. And he wraps Doctor Strange up like in his cape or like his sash, and then
sash.
squeezes him so hard his head pops like a balloon, and
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
dead. I'm like, wow, I can't believe you murked Doctor Strange like that, like on panel by his like greatest villain.
In like 3 pages, he was on 2 pages. On like for 3 pages, he existed.
It's just crazy because it's
Yeah.
like Doctor Strange is really strong. I expected him to have more of like to do more stuff in this because he's on the cover of this issue too.
This is one of those things I was
No.
saying before, where it's like I can appreciate the idea of like an ignoble death, where like you're fighting a demon from another dimension, he can just kill you.
And
but-
Dormammu is a million times stronger than Doctor Strange.
But don't you think at a certain point it's so belittled? Because it's like, okay, we've seen these ignoble deaths. Now this is like
Yeah,
the
this
fourth.
is the one.
And
And
also
also,
why-
this facts is nothing. Dormammu is not part of the story. He's gone.
Yeah, this is the one.
Right.
Like a lot of like the sudden deaths work for me in the context of the story. This has nothing to do with the plot. His death does
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
It's
advance the
mean.
story. And yes, it is. It is mean. This is the death where I'm like, okay, now we're just being mean. Whereas I thought the other deaths at the very least serviced the plot and to push the story kind of forward a little bit.
Yeah, because it raises the stakes.
This was the one where it's just like, okay, he's got to go now because we're wiping the slate clean.
Yeah, and at least like the thing with Doctor Strange is Ultimate Doctor Strange like barely existed. He'd only been in like a team up story, I think, like maybe an annual. But like Spider-Man at this point, I think his book had like close to 100 issues, if not more. And he's like Ultimate Spider-Man is one of the most beloved comic book characters that exists. This is how he was supposed to die.
can't-
And Brian Michael
Hulk
Bendis was like,
smash
"Are
bad."
you fucking kidding me?" Yeah, Bendis was like, "You've got to be kidding me."
I
No.
just realized he just killed off 2 significant characters right after back to back.
the Loeb send their regards.
Yeah.
and then Sue Storm shows up and they're like, "We're gonna stop you." And I'm like, I don't. If Doctor Strange couldn't stop him, I don't think the Invisible
Who is
Woman.
this guy in silhouette that says Steven?
This is another fucking thread that never went
Yeah,
anywhere.
I looked this up after I reread this, and I'm like, wait, so what happened with this? And the answer is nothing. Nothing happened with this.
They teased
Some
it.
mystery figure takes Doctor Strange's body, and that's it.
Yeah, he
That's
sized his size. And yeah, that's it. That's the end.
And then, so you have the Hulk running from the fucking military. I'm like, can I not like read a Hulk comic where a helicopter shooting missiles out?
It's like watching a Godzilla movie with military and shoot at him. It's like it has to happen.
But the thing is, like, everything's been fine. He hasn't had the military shoot at him, but now it's like,
And the military didn't shoot at Dormammu, but they're like, fuck the Hulk right
Well,
now.
it's the Hulk's fault.
Yeah, remember the Hulk is supposed to be like public enemy #1. Like he killed.
Oh yeah, and the Ultimates.
I
Right.
guess it's just so dumb. And then Cyclops like blinds the helicopter pilot. And he's like, "Leave the Hulk alone." I'm like, "The Hulk's wrecking shit."
They want the Hulk to fight.
So yeah, the Hulk pops down and he's like, "Hulk know you," and it's Wolverine. And he's like, "Hulk tore you in half." And he's like, "Yeah, but like, I hope we don't have to go through that again." And he's like, "Gene, help me!" And then Gene uses psychic powers, and the Hulk goes, "Ooh, Hulk helped pretty girl. He's been charmed."
Actually, I don't think he's like proud. I think the Hulk is just horny and he looks. At
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's
Hulk
it.
horny.
It's Ultimate Hulk.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we jump over to another dimension where we have, oh my god, I hate this panel so much because it's Nick Fury. It's just like next to this car. This alternate dimension looks just like our dimension. But then
Yes.
the Fantastic Four show up and Doctor Doom shows up, and I hate what they did, like how Doom's drawn here, because Doom's always supposed to be menacing and like
He looks
towering
so
and powerful.
little.
He's the
He is
smallest
short.
person on the page. Power Princess is bigger
Keep
than
in
him.
mind, this is Martha Storm
Mary
Oh yeah.
or whatever.
Mary
Martha.
Storm.
No,
That's-
Martha Storm is better. We can leave her as Martha Storm.
That's not canon right now. I hate that he's just
Yeah,
like
it's not
so
canon.
tiny, and he's just like
So when I first saw this page, I thought they were like children that showed up in costume.
They do look like it.
And I was like, wait, I had to go back and be like, is someone trick or treating fucking Nick Fury?
It's
here?
like that cover of 52 with the Booster Gold. And
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
Like I was like, those are children because they're even from far away. Their faces, I don't know,
Yeah,
they
their
look
faces,
like
their
kids.
faces are very distinct because it's a zoomed out page. So they look like they have like less detailed features, which makes them look younger. So they look like fucking kids.
So they're like, you got to come back with us, Nick Fury. And he's like, no, I think I'll pass. And then the Power Princess blows up his car. And he's like, you know what? Okay, maybe I'll go with you. But
And he's like, I warned you, I'm the most important character in the Marvel Universe. Fuck you guys.
then he does this where he shits all over. I love that he shits all over Doom. It's like, it's Doom's fault. He's the one that killed Scarlet Witch, which set all of this off because his plan was to have Magneto destroy the world and then Doom would pick up the pieces of the world, but he didn't realize it would go so far. And then this is when you get like Doom again looking a little too goofy here.
His eyes
Yeah,
are,
for sure.
It's like anime, like, notice me senpai, but Reed is like, fuck you, you caused all this, and they have to just like break it off.
Yeah, and then Fury says, if I wanted him dead, he'll be dead, so leave Doom alone, which is kind of doesn't, it's real goofy because he's gonna die anyway, even if
Yeah.
Fury doesn't want it.
Not Nick
So
Fury, Dr. Doom's gonna die anyway.
So then, right, Brian, how is that scene, how's the Kitty Pryde scene before this when, because it opens with her holding Spider-Man's destroyed mask.
Yeah.
The whole scene, the whole, by the way, is a flashback, I believe, anyway. So I just.
In the trade, this is ridiculous. It starts with 4 hours later is the narration, and it's that,
Loeb.
and then it says 4 hours earlier when it cuts to the Hulk.
That's an 8-hour difference!
Why do that? Why would you do that?
Because Loeb, remember, Ultimates 3 was full of that weird time stuff that didn't
Yeah.
need to exist.
But I believe, because I believe the Captain America, when he's like, let's rally everyone, this is what was showing what happened to Spider-Man and Hulk before they rally everyone. I believe that's the point of this.
Oh, I
Whatever.
love that Loeb's just so bad with this time stuff. And so she's holding the mask, and she's like, there was this flash of light, like magic, and then he's gone. And Logan's like, what do you mean, gone? Is Spider-Man dead? And she's like, I don't know. And then he gives her a box, and it's like, just take this for me. And then he says, I'm leaving Bobby behind. Like, you can't come with me. I'm leaving Iceman behind, and you guys have to watch each other to make sure none of you tag along.
And to start over if they lose. I like this scene a lot. I really like this scene a lot.
I do too, actually.
It's a very classic, like, Wolverine and Kitty Pryde scene.
It's
like,
and he says, you know, when this is finished, like you can't go because there needs to be good people to rebuild the world after, and you're one of the best.
This is especially good. This is one of the like few things that I mentioned, like a couple things, but after this, Ultimate X-Men really kind of becomes like Kitty's franchise, and like Ultimate Kitty Pryde becomes like an incredible character. And it's like it is almost interesting that like having the X-Men where they get all the major players off the table and are just like this really small group of like, there's no more Professor X, Cyclops, Wolverine, all that stuff. It does give characters like Kitty, who I've always felt like deserve to be that A-list, like everyone knows X-Men but never really break through to the mainstream.
This was a bigger deal in the 2000s because then later on a lot of stuff in the mainstream universe echoed the Ultimate Universe, including Kitty Pryde becoming the leader of the X-Men.
Yeah, but like that's something that like this is, and it's not Loeb, it's Spencer and Brian Wood that go on to do that. But like I think that like this is a really good scene, and it does actually set up something that does actually get followed through, which is rare for this book.
So then we cut to Magneto's floating.
Oh,
He's in a floating like asteroid station.
Asteroid M equivalent for the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then they're approaching by jet, and this entire for this issue and the next one, I was like, why would you bring anything metal to fight Magneto? It was the same problem I had before. I'm like, why don't do this? You know what he does.
That's what I was saying. Like, they're arranging all these fighters. This final fight is just stuff happening. Like, it feels like they didn't plan this out at all. They just walked in. Like, Magneto has no defenses. They just go into Magneto's right to his throne room. He's right there. And first, Angel takes him out first.
First, he's being poetic. He's like, and a time to be born.
No,
and a time
Magneto's
to
doing that
die.
before anyone gets there. That's before anyone gets there. He's talking to himself.
Well, he's watching like the TV.
I know, but no one's hearing them. He's talking to himself.
Yeah.
Angel shows up. He's the first one to get there. He outpaces the ship somehow. He starts fighting Magneto.
Punches
then
him.
Saber comes out of nowhere and he eats Angel.
He rips off Angel's wings and then steps on his neck, and I guess he's dead after this.
I mean,
Yeah.
his face in that picture is like his
Not
neck is
good.
broken.
It's not good.
And then Hawkeye shoots out of nowhere. We never see him playing man or anything. Just Hawkeye's here in Magneto's throne room.
Not just okay. So basically, just because it's just like the viscera is so important. So Sabretooth rips off Angel's wings and kills
with his
him.
teeth.
And with his teeth, and then immediately gets shot in the face through the eye with an arrow from Hawkeye. And Hawkeye's like, "That's gonna leave a mark."
And then Magneto runs away.
How does he get away from Hawkeye? Why are they all 1v1ing him in the first place? Why is this a reverse martial arts movie? This is like a reverse martial arts movie where everyone's 1v1's the main guy, except everyone's 1v1ing the bad guy for some reason.
Yeah, and Valkyrie shows up.
What plan is this? What plan do they have?
So Valkyrie shows up and she's like, "Give me Thor's hammer," and he's like, "Just take it." And she cuts him off and says, "Don't fuck with me."
She cuts his arm off.
First she cuts off his dialogue, and then she cuts his arm off, and he does the like Metal Gear Solid exclamation point, like, but his arm was cut off, and then he's like, "Child, fuck you."
Yeah, he takes her sword and stabs her with it.
Yeah, I thought she was dead after this. It was like he gets her like
Me
in the
too.
throat, but apparently she's alive.
No. She's fine in the next panel. Yeah.
Oh, she's fine. No, never mind.
And anytime you see someone, especially with this fucking book, anytime you see blood in silhouette, they're not dead. It's just like, oh, what happened to them? Like, how'd they get
How did he fucking let himself get stabbed with a metal sword?
My theory was, I was like, this has to be Mystique, because so far, and I'm like, okay, Mystique's maybe because he's holding the hammer of Thor as well, like Mjolnir. But I'm like, whatever, Mjolnir is a piece of shit in this universe. It's so ever gonna wield it. So I'm like, this has to be Mystique, because that's the plan. Spoilers, it's not Mystique. He just let his arm get cut off by a metal sword.
Yeah, everybody that attacks him is using metal, like you said,
And-
not just. So first it's Hawkeye, then it's Valkyrie, and then Captain America jumps in with his shield. That's
Okay,
also metal.
Captain America jumps into for some reason everyone's inside the building now. For some reason Captain America jumps in through the window onto the asteroid.
And it shows, like, I was like, maybe the sword's magic, and that's why he can't pull it. But he pulls it out of her hand with his left hand and uses that sword against her. I'm like, you could have done that the whole time. Anyway, Captain America jumps, kicks him in the back of the head, and then a bunch of rocks fall on Captain America, and Magneto flies away and somehow
It's
repairs
the worst
his...
fight I've ever seen in a comic.
Yeah,
Bizarre.
this is like the worst fight ever in any comic.
And I love that
It's pretty terrible.
Wait, he flies away and he flies into Hawkeye. Like, did Hawkeye run back to the room, or was Hawkeye teleported?
Yeah, he runs back to him. He literally runs back to him because he runs back to the room, and now it's just another page is supposed to just be cool. It's just Magneto gloating in front of the villains, just stabbed and cut off his arm. Like,
in front of the heroes.
the heroes, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's the most pointless panel ever.
So that ends issue 4. Joe, still your favorite? How you feeling?
Feeling great.
Oh my God, Joe.
I'm so happy I came
please.
back for this, guys.
Do you have any thoughts we've missed, Joe?
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit? Not particularly. I mean,
We got one issue
we
left.
got one issue left. I'm still wildly entertained, although all of the plot criticism, and I think is very valid. Yeah, let's continue on to that last issue, guys.
The thing that I wanted to see the most is not like this fight, because now it's like clearly this is just all nonsensical garbage that whatever Loeb comes off the top of his head is going to form onto the page. But I'm like, I just want to see who kills him. Like who's the one that gets the final blow?
Spoilers, it's arbitrary.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It surprises me a little bit, but
I know, but it could have been fucking anyone at that point.
We start with the full splash page of Wolverine with his claws and the X formation, and
but Magneto's reflected in the claws. I think it's cool.
And then he attacks.
But why? Like Magneto's fighting Wolverine, the most easiest guy for him to beat. And he's just,
love that.
And Wolverine's like, in the past I couldn't kill you because I wasn't willing to die, but today I'm willing to die. I'm like, no, in the past you couldn't kill him because you're made of metal.
Yeah,
and he's a magnet man.
And Wolverine's clawing the fuck out of him, blood's pouring all over out of Magneto.
But we do get the amazing line where he says, "If you're God, then God is dead."
And now, look, again, Magneto can fucking rip apart Wolverine wherever he wants to. Instead, he takes over Iron Man and takes over Cyclops' visors. Cyclops is too stupid to close his fucking eyes. And then Cyclops and Iron Man are forced to kill Wolverine.
Well, I love.
You could have done this at any point in the story as well.
Also, I love to when Wolverine's fighting Magneto, you see Jean Grey and Cyclops on the side, and Jean Grey's like, "Oh my God, Scott, I think Logan's gonna kill Magneto." And then I'm like, this guy's killing the entire world.
After
How is this?
billions of people have been killed, you're like, we gotta make sure not to hurt Magneto, who killed Xavier.
And I love that too when Jean says that. Scott's like, then maybe that's how this has to end. Like, yeah. Obviously.
So they blast Wolverine to little bits.
I didn't even think Cyclops could have just closed his
What I love too about this so much is Hawkeye shoots the thing off of. I love that Hawkeye's one thing in this fight is to shoot Cyclops' visor off his head, not shoot Magneto.
That should even like disable Iron Man somehow. He's just like
he just shoots Cyclops' visor off his head,
It breaks the arrow in half too.
Yep.
it's so funny because again. These 3 pages are completely pointless because later on, what Magneto does what he should have done anyway. He explodes Wolverine after he stabs him again.
So he shoots the thing off of Cyclops' head, and then Storm freezes Iron Man. She's like, "I'm sorry, Tony, this has to be done." And then
I think she short circuits him with electricity.
Yeah.
And then they're like, Magneto's like, you killed Wolverine. And then Wolverine, as a melting pile of muscles, like, not yet.
and then stabs him in the chest, and then Magneto.
He still somehow in there has vocal cords.
Yeah. See, this would make more sense to me. Like, I think this would be cool if it was like Magneto's, not every aspect of it, but like Magneto's like arrogance of like, obviously Wolverine's dead.
Yeah.
This would work better if we didn't just see him rip him apart for like no reason.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean?
like Wolverine was owning him, and then Magneto's stabbed now. Like this should have been the only time Wolverine stabbed him, but no.
And Magneto also is it's not like this is from behind. He's looking at this pile of muscle, and he, I guess, lets him get up and stab him through the chest.
He's fast. He's a fast pile of muscles.
Yes.
And then he's like, now that you've stabbed through me, now he's like, okay, now I'll kill you.
And what I love here is he blows him up, and then it shows like the full splash play of Logan's just like incinerated, bones left, and Tony's like,
I
oh my
think it looks
god,
really
he tore the
cool.
adamantium off his skeleton.
I love this panel because it implies
It's
like
so
Magneto's not
pretty.
dead. Everyone's acting like Magneto's dead, and that's standing right in
Yeah,
front of them.
what I love about this so much is that Cyclops is putting back on his visor. I'm like, why did you shoot the visor off? And then like instead of shooting Magneto, he bends down, picks the visor off.
Everyone's seen. Everyone's just mourning Wolverine, while Magneto is still right there in front of him.
Yeah. And Cyclops puts on the visor, which again, we know the visor's probably a bad idea, but whatever, he still wants to wear it.
This is such a shitty like sequence of events like in general, because then it tries to cut to like, oh, it's not just this fight. Look, they actually did have a plan. Colossus and the Hulk are gonna smash the engines of this asteroid.
Spoilers, this affects nothing whatsoever.
And yeah, it does nothing because then Mystique shows up with a flamethrower to fight the Hulk.
That's the major part in his plan. Her job is to have a flamethrower in the engine room.
And to fight Colossus and the Hulk.
Also, why are they smashing the asteroid? They're still on the asteroid. The asteroid has nothing to do with setting the world right.
And so Mystique like halfway into flamethrowing them realizes, oh wait, I'm fighting Colossus and the fucking Hulk. And she's like, oh, I gotta get out of here.
She says, oh shit.
Sabretooth grabs her. Somehow Sabretooth is able to outrun. While carrying Mystique, he's able to outrun the fucking Hulk who has super
Because
speed.
he jumps on a hang glider and just glides away.
No, but presumably they have to like leave the engine room or whatever.
Where's that hang glider from?
Yeah, they have to outpace Hulk and Colossus at some point to get to the hang glider.
And
Yeah.
They managed to do
my
it.
favorite thing is that Magneto, she says, like, did you leave your weapon? And he's like counting down, a full clip was left. Because he left a bomb there, and I'm like, so in the engine room, you left a bomb to blow them up, but you know it's blowing up your boss's like ship. Like, I'm just like, what is this plan?
Yeah, this whole is just a nonsense.
It's all going according to plan.
Yeah.
This is like high school first draft kind of shit you're writing. Right?
Yeah.
And then the best part here is like, how can Magneto be defeated? Oh, well, Wolverine already basically stabbed him. And then Nick Fury with a pistol is like, "What's up, Magneto? I'm here."
Magneto's
his
bleeding
metal
on the
gun.
ground, and he throws like Wolverine's like claws out of his chest. And then, like Phil said, Nick Fury shows up and he's got a gun. And the whole time, I'm like, why you keep bringing metal to fight Magneto? What are you guys doing? Like, you think your gun's gonna stop him? It has to be plastic or something. I don't know.
No, it's metal.
But that's
It's
not his real weakness.
So yeah, Nick Fury says every single one of you has a weakness that I keep as my ace in the hole in case you get out of hand. And now this is your ace in the hole, Jean Grey. And she comes up and she's like, Fury says you have a lot of things to learn, secrets. And she grabs them and Nick Fury's head and she mind melds them together. And then she's like, check this out. Like, using Fury's information, did you know that mutants were created by men?
Yes,
They're
so
not.
these
They're
are-
not the next stage of evolution by
Yes.
God, like he thinks. Homo sapien created Homo superior. So
So now I just want to officially clear the room here and let it state that this is not a Loeb idea.
No, it's
Bendis
not.
did this earlier, and I think it's really interesting having an alternate universe where mutants aren't evolution, but everyone thinks they are. But really, they're like the extension of the Captain America project.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting to then show that to the supremacist who's like, we're the next stage, and then he's like, no, you're actually just different types of, like, you're regular humans that just the government experimented on. And I find that to be really, really interesting. But I mean, that's, I just want to give Bendis credit for this.
Yeah, that's not Loeb. And again, it's another concept that got put into the regular universe, that mutants are not inevitability. They could just be an anomaly like they are here.
You like this concept too, Joe?
I really do. I think because I never really read the Ultimate Universe, but being like in middle school and going to comic shops and kind of keeping track on the news, I love the concept. I think it's such a really neat twist and it's such a great thing to do, because if you're going to do an ultimate, an alternate universe, really change it up. So I really like the concept a ton.
So for me, I'm like, I think that is like an interesting twist. It's just like what happens next is then Magneto's like, oh my god, what have I done? Where I'm like, I feel like if you're
I don't buy that.
deep-
I don't buy Magneto.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't buy that
exactly.
anymore.
Okay, good. So we're on the same page there. I'm like, if you're that deep in, like, you're not gonna.
that's what I'm like, this doesn't do anything for me.
You're not gonna be like,
You're
wow,
too far
I can't
gone
believe
now.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Statistically, most cult leaders, when they find out the prophecy was bullshit, their membership actually increases. People double down on their thoughts.
He would reject reality, especially when, again, he's been killing mutants anyway. He's not gonna be like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny because Nick Fury acted like this was a surefire way to stop him. He knew this was gonna work. There's no fucking way it's gonna work, but it works because the plot determines it has to.
So then Reed Richards is like, you shifted the poles off there, the axis, it has to be repaired. And he's like, I don't have the strength. And Reed's like, find it. So then he does it, and he says, I can't do the
Easy,
damage.
so
He does
easy
it
for
in
him,
3
too.
panels. He doesn't just do it. He does it in probably 5 seconds time.
Three copy and pasted panels. They don't even show any signs of him struggling either.
He can do this in 3 seconds, but Wolverine kicks his fucking ass.
I do want to say I do actually like the next page a lot.
Yeah.
Where I do.
I hate it.
I do. I love it.
I like it.
Not
a lot.
love it. Love it. I'm
I
being
like
hyperbolic.
it. It's great.
At the end of something like this that's so shitty, it's okay to have just revenge.
So
porn.
that's the thing, is he's like, Charles will understand, Charles will forgive me. And I like that Cyclops is like, Charles is dead, you killed him, fuck you, and he just blasts his head off.
This seems like what was it? There's a Batman comic where he tells Catwoman, "I'm not your friend. I hate you, and I'll never be your friend ever again. Go away." The most. It sounds just that preschool the way he says it, Charles is dead. You killed him, and no one will forgive you. Fuck you, and he just blows his head off.
For me, I would like that idea a lot more. Like, I'd be fine with it, like Cyclops being like, you know what, you killed Xavier, I'm just gonna kill you. The problem is that before that, he reaches his hand down and says, let me help you, Eric, just like Charles did for all those years. Why did he say that before he did
mad.
Because
that?
he's a jerk.
That's dumb.
He's
Because
mad.
he's a jerk. That's why he did
Yeah,
it.
he's like, my boss, my best friend, basically forgave you 19 times. Let me help you, you piece of shit. And he blasts his head off. I think that's totally
and-
fine.
He's setting him up to die.
I don't
Like,
deliver
I'm
that.
fine
I
with
don't
it.
believe that tone.
That's
Like,
a dick way to do it. And second of all, it's such a character-defining thing, because Cyclops is the one that believes in Professor Xavier's vision the most. The Professor Xavier's excessive forgiveness, which was why Wolverine was on the team in the Ultimate Universe, especially. because like in the Ultimate Universe, Wolverine was a villain before he was a hero. And like this is such a character-defining moment, and it's so arbitrary that happens here. It could have been anyone doing it, and Cyclops dies immediately after the spoilers. So like it's just such a dumb thing to do.
And you like Ultimate Cyclops a lot, right, Sly?
He's probably one of the best versions of Cyclops, I feel like.
Yeah. Okay, I cede the floor to your take for sure.
I'm on team. Good job, Cyclops.
Me too.
I think it's a good job.
I'm on
I'm just
team
like
great scene.
it's just weird for him being petty in the beginning, and they.
I don't think it is when you're like if you really subscribe to Charles' beliefs of excessive forgiveness, and then Charles literally dies and all of humanity almost dies.
Not Cyclops. He's not the person that's like, oh yeah, let me help you. Wrong. Die.
Yeah, like this would be like I'm saying like. This will work if Cyclops didn't die immediately after this. It's just like you make Cyclops like just do this dickishly and then die immediately after this.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
It's my turn now. Man, Cyclops' arms are ripped.
They
On
are.
that
Jesus,
page.
they are.
he's
Yeah.
huge. Everyone's huge.
More,
in
more
this.
than the Hulk. He's more buff than the Hulk.
Yeah.
Also, you forgot to say, just to end cap this amazingly tense scene, Hulk says Hulk hungry. Or Hulk
Yeah.
is hungry.
Yeah, they go to the
and then-
shawarma right after this.
Yeah.
So then it says 8 days later, and then you get Washington D.C. People are protesting mutants because a mutant destroyed like half the world.
And Cyclops is like, please, like, don't hate mutants. He's giving a speech in front of Washington D.C. And it happens,
He's got
it's
like Colossus next to him and Storm, but then Kitty has to be down there with like Rogue and Jean in the crowd because he's like, I don't want you up here.
Well, why was Rogue not with them? What the? Why was?
I don't know. That's why I was surprised Rogue was here. I was like, oh, I guess she is in this story, but she didn't join up.
Yeah.
And then Cyclops gets assassinated by a sniper. Then it turns out, spoiler, it's Quicksilver. He's alive the whole time.
And he used the bullet that
Wait.
they killed Scarlet Witch.
No, hold on. Because Cyclops dies, and then like.
Carol Danvers arrests everyone.
Yeah, and then Iceman's running away, and while this is going on, Kitty goes, Bobby, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to help, Kitty. It's like, no, you can't leave me. You can't leave me like everybody does. And then that's the last thing that happens with her, and I'm like, that's a weird tonal thing to do for the end of this book, especially because it wasn't...
Namor character doesn't have a weird tonal end to every character.
Yeah. And so...
This is also a great scene.
and then we
coming
get...
up.
This is
It's like
pretty
this
great.
is when Daryl was like, yeah, Dr. Doom's in Ultimates 3. I was thinking like, you have made the precious mistake of seeing a character you like in a Jeff Loeb book and being excited.
The
Never
monkey's
get
paw
excited-
wish.
Never get excited to see Jeff Loeb use your characters. Never, ever, ever.
So Dr. Doom's sitting on his throne looking at Namor in a glass tube.
I guess you just got to keep Namor when all was said and done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just let him keep Namor.
Reed's like, keep him. Doom's like, yes. Score. Because
It's
he
like,
has,
we never discuss this again. You take Namor, you get the hell out of my life.
yeah. So he has Namor, and he's just watching him, and then suddenly someone comes in. He's like, "Who? How dare you? Who comes in here?" And the person's like pushing Magneto's buttons, killing his daughter, making it so he had to go to war.
He says, Reed told me what you did. You about
It's the
Magneto's
thing.
butt."
He like blasts the cloak off of him. It's the thing, and they're like, "What?" And then again, Doom's standing up to him, all small.
He
He's
says,
like,
"You dare?" And he goes, "Yeah, I do, Vic. And you know why I'm here with you doing who knows what with Namor here." And Dr. Doom's like, "Get out, or I'll destroy you." And
Yeah.
things like, Reed doesn't have the stomach for it, but you gotta pay for what you did. How everything that happened, it was all your fault.
And then he just crushes Dr. Doom's head.
And he
It's,
crushes his head.
and Namor
Namor's like, "Oh
watches
my
and like bubbles come out of his mouth as he's screaming.
As a big fan of Ben Grimm, this was kind of satisfying in a weird way because Dr. Doom's always
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're so beneath me, Ben." Ben could just crush Dr. Doom's skull whenever he wanted to, and so this is pretty accurate in reality.
This is also why I was like, okay, I like this scene and the Magneto one is because I'm like, these guys are like, they've exceeded like just I'm a villain. They're like, I try to end the world regularly, and like they're so smug about it. Like the thing, like you're saying, like Charles and Cyclops and the Fantastic Four are pretty forgiving of these people that routinely kill lots of people.
Yeah.
So when he actually loses some of his own family, I'm like, you know what? Fuck him.
That's the only satisfying thing about this story is that at least the villains get fucking murked.
Yeah.
And Dr. Doom in this story is so great because the entire time he's just a punk ass bitch. The whole story.
Yeah.
He shows up. He's like, "Oh no, I made an oopsie. I did too much." And then he's like, "We gotta go get Nick Fury." And then Nick Fury solves things. And he's like, "I get to keep Namor." And then the thing shows up and kills him. He does like he's just garbage the entire time.
Yeah.
That's because
yeah.
it's Martha Storm, guys.
Oh my god, the thing killed.
Oh no.
Oh, This is why you don't kill villains. You don't know if they're your friend's mom.
I think Ben hates Johnny enough to not care.
And then we get the twist at the end that Zayed alluded to, that it's Quicksilver is still alive. He's dressed up as Magneto. He has like a bunch of mutants with him and some sexy lady in silhouette that we can't see. We don't know who it is, but she's
it's
like
probably fucking Scarlet Witch.
I think it's Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's not, it's just because Jeff Loeb stopped writing the series. He never did anything else.
Yeah, I love that they bring up it's the same bullet that shot the Scarlet Witch. I'm like, it's a DNA-seeking bullet. How does Cyclops have the same DNA? You can program it?
Quicksilver literally pushed it into his head.
I think so too. He didn't
Question.
Whatever.
Quicksilver has Magneto's helmet. How the fuck did he get that?
It fell out of the whatever.
Yeah.
He went into the ocean to get it from Asteroid.
It doesn't
M.
matter.
Yeah.
Fucking speedsters. God damn.
And then the book ends with a dedication. Dedicated to Brian Mark, Bill J, and Joe Q, who started it all. And I would just like to say that Mark there is Mark Millar. So I would also like to dedicate this podcast to Mark Millar, who started it all.
He did, and he made me hate comics. So fuck you, Mark Millar.
Also, why would Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver want to like run the mutants when all they wanted to be was like bougie incest twins?
That's a good fucking question.
Also, why was there a boom when he pushed the bullet through his whatever?
Also, did you see
Classic misdirection.
In all those that died, did you see that Madrox died? Apparently, he can make himself an infinite amount of times, but he died an infinite amount of times.
I guess he blew up on Asteroid and blew up.
He was imprisoned on the asteroid.
I guess they forgot to get him before they left.
Fuck Madrox, I guess.
Oh, man.
Oh, Toad died too. Shit. Oh, no.
And hard drive.
Okay. So, what did everybody think of Ultimatum?
Bad.
I'll go first. I
Wait,
thought it
sorry.
was bad, but the art's pretty, and I do think that it is. I think to me it is one of the ultimate examples of the so bad it's good, because like it is. We were laughing the entire time, and I think the best example that I could have is Daryl, when you would start issues, you'd be like issue 4, and you would just start laughing.
Hulk smash bad.
It was like Mark Millar level of bad.
What about you, Sly?
This is a good example of why I hate event comics. Like, if you want to understand why do I hate event comics, this is like they're all very shades of this. Like, get to a lot of them. Like, there's obviously more effort in some of them, but then you get to weird points, like when Firestorm got blown up in fucking Identity Crisis, where it's just like have this happen. Doesn't matter if it makes sense. Doesn't matter if it's like part of the story. Just have this happen. The story is all that. This is pure event trash and it's distilled.
Phil?
It was fun to like talk about and laugh at, like in the same way I can enjoy Mark Millar kind of sometimes, where I'm like, it's just so shitty, but it was really shitty. Like I do think like Heroes in Crisis had more redeeming moments than this did.
I agree.
I enjoyed the like fucking murdering the villains at the end. I'm like, that's great, because you're gonna kill all the heroes. Like, fuck you too.
You've been arguing for that the entire like podcast.
I know.
On the last issue, you finally get to see it.
I'm like, he kills all your friends and half of Earth. Fucking kill him. Like, so that was nice. But overall, this is a piece of shit comic. I do like the art though. Like you guys said, I thought the art was good. It was over the top, but they went with that. It wasn't trying to be real, like not super 90s body figure. So it's like fine. And yeah, it's shitty.
Daryl?
It was bad. Boy, was it bad. I like Ultimates 3 more, I think, because that was like it starts kind of on the rails and it tries to stay there, but it completely destroys itself by the end. Whereas this one's just like a lot of disaster porn, which isn't exactly my speed. And it's a lot of like just pointless fighting. Like there's very little character moments. It's like like Hawkeye saying to Hank, it's like, I'll help you find Janet. And then you have Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. And it's like, that's it out of the 5 issues that we read, which sucks.
Yeah, pretty much. So, Joe.
Yes. The podcast comes down to me. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get to decide if you liked it or not.
Do we like Jeff Loeb or not?
I found it wildly entertaining. Like I said, I have to put it in this perspective. I really had no attachment to the Ultimate Universe. Yeah. I think the story is really entertaining in a bubble, where I almost read it like a one-off Elseworld, where like, okay, what if it was the end of the Marvel Universe and it was just ridiculous and bombastic and over the top, and everyone has like the the unfitting end that you might get in like a very high stakes type setting. But I recognize that the characterization isn't the best. It was
You're so nice.
It was long term. It was probably long term a little bit harmful to the old to the Ultimate Universe.
A little bit,
little tiny bit harmful. But I think it's wildly entertaining, and I think it's neat to read. Not in the context of the Ultimate Universe. Like I read this like I would read Ruins, where Ruins was like a one-off, like what if everything went horribly wrong type story.
Yeah, you don't think about how it affects the canon. You're like,
exactly.
I'm just in it to see the carnage.
Yes, I'm in it for the entertainment value with this one. I think if you read this in the canon of the Ultimate Universe, I think it doesn't hold up in that regard, because it does really bad things to people that you probably care about.
Yeah, it's a good comparison because Ruins did not have much more substance in this, so it's kind of the same.
Yeah, I read it for the junk disaster comic, and I was really really entertained. I think the art is beautiful, but like I recognize the damage that it did in the longer term.
Mm-hmm. That's a fair way to end our podcast too. You know, we start with a lot of garbage.
I do have one small question when we wrap up for the final time. Daryl, you first. Since you joined, how has your opinion on comic books changed from the beginning of you joining the show to the end?
Oh no. Okay. So I have a greater appreciation for a lot of the things that you guys have talked about and that you guys have pointed out and that you guys like still like that you tried to convey, where it's like with Ryan with like the Flash, where it's like you gotta take a long time to digest these characters and see like the payoffs you can get from following a character for like 60 issues, and then you get to finally see them come into their own and stuff. And for like Sly pointing out where it's like all the things that I thought were unique were kind of just like typical for the time. And it's like here's like the stuff that was like very unique at the time, or very like it hadn't been done before. Like everyone has their own, their wanted that they first read. They're like, this is great. Comics are now serious adult stuff. And I feel like you guys have opened me up to a lot more like comics are adult stuff that aren't just murdering and raping and disaster. And I really appreciate that. But like when Joe's like Gwen Stacy's Carnage, it's just hard to let go of that feeling of like what a fucking mess comics are sometimes. Like I'm just like I can't get over it. And even if Sly's like, don't judge a book by its cover, Swamp Thing and Man Thing are like great characters and stuff, I'm like, it just has still such a hard like presentation issue with me that I can't pierce, where I'm like, this looks dumb. I've learned to not judge it as harshly, being like, maybe this could be okay. Again, it's like maybe Captain Cold could be a really cool guy instead of just like how goofy he looks. But it's gotten to the point of like parody how much you guys are like, this guy's actually really cool when he's really like stupid looking. Look at Mr. Mind.
We were at that point like in the beginning of the show. We were like, Ant-Man is so cool when he beats his wife and goes mentally insane. And when fucking the Atom has wife went crazy and murdered fucking Janine.
Stepping on people's brains, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I greatly appreciate you guys bringing me on this journey. It's one of those things though where it's like, would I read like more comics outside of this? It's like nothing other than what I had said. Like I wanted to read more of like Shade the Changing Man. It's like I would read more of that. Like if I had a trade of that, I'd read that.
So it's probably more like vertical stuff, the stuff you would have read anyway, probably.
Yeah, probably. That makes sense.
But I've also like I feel like maybe I've gotten better at reading old like Silver Age stories or like text bubble filled stories. So maybe you guys help me out there not to mind that so much.
Nice. What about you, Phil?
Well, I came into this as everyone's saying, like, I'm the guy, I hate comics, but in reality, because Sly made me read so many comics in, like, middle school and stuff, like, I actually always did enjoy a subset of comics. Like, I thought there were great comics, but it was the stupid shit that you guys would bring up, like, Flash running back in time and
to punch his mom.
Yeah, that stuff I always thought was sounding stupid, and I didn't think all comics were dumb, but that there were a lot of dumb things in comics, and I still kind of feel that way, like Daryl's saying, where I'm like, there's a lot of cool stuff that I didn't know about before, too, but there's a lot of, they still have to do the dumb shit. It seems like they can't keep away from it as a at least Marvel and DC like can't stop themselves from doing
They're
that.
addicts.
Yeah, so I'm like, I still think a lot of comics are great, and that a lot of them have too much dumb shit to take it seriously. Like, I can't respect like a lot of when they're like the Carnage example was perfect. Like I'm like, that is just so dumb, and no matter how good the surrounding story is, it's a dumb thing to be in there. And
I don't hate it that much. I'm like, sure, make Spider-Man.
The funny thing is, the Carnage story is better than this fucking thing we just read.
I believe that. I believe that too.
Yeah.
It's more like the intertwining constantly of so many writers and stories always produces this like weird dissonant thing for me, where I'm like,
Yeah.
This beneath the surface, because so many people have written about this stuff, there's dumb shit in there that's just part of the lore now, and you have to just be like, it's fine, this person's their own mom or something.
It's like
Captain
in those,
Marvel, God, all that stuff.
It's like one of those party games where you have to keep adding on to what somebody else did, and like if he says like, oh yeah, everyone just starts sucking each other's dicks, and you have to continue from that.
Yeah,
point.
they did it because they were mind controlled by Magneto,
or they're clones from another dimension.
Yeah. So in the end, I'm like, I still think there's a lot of great comics out there, and I was actually really glad to have read a lot of the stuff we read. And some of the stuff that I didn't think I might have enjoyed as much, I did.
Yeah.
But I'm still like, a lot of comics are really dumb.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
As someone who really adores comics, I can't disagree with anything either of you two have said.
I actually agree. I always push for the ones that I try to be not so off-putting, but it's always a battle between. My balance is always like the stuff that tries to introduce you to what used to be goofy concepts, but makes it work in the modern sense. Like I feel like the Batman the anime, like the anime series did that. Like the Batman anime series, they'll take like the Clock King and make him somehow work in a green costume and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like most comics, and I do agree with Ryan. There is some beauty in the stuff that's so unadulterated, goofy, and still trying to be serious either way, regardless. Like we all kind of appreciate Identity Crisis, which is about a stretchy guy whose wife died because a guy struck down and stepped on his head.
Yeah.
But, yeah, okay. You're right. There is some joy to that. I mean, and in the end, the one thing I think I will never change on, Mark Millar is a cancer on the medium, and, like, he just is the worst.
After reading so many bad stories, I'm at the point where I'm like, Mark Millar is not that bad, I guess.
No, he is, because he's so popular. Like,
and also, he influenced a lot. Like, this probably wouldn't happen the way he did if it was Mark Millar.
yeah, I was reading this, I'm like, fucking Mark Millar, I can feel it in the words. It's so...
I was waiting for someone to get cucked. I thought Hulk was gonna cuck Cyclops with Jean Grey.
Oh man.
Remember when that one lady was like, I like Hulk. I like Bruce Banner when he's Hulk.
Yeah, remember when Wolverine cucks Magneto?
Yeah.
Joe, do you have any oh sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Joe, do you have any thoughts on comics?
Comics are great.
Even I love that after this. Yeah, they're just like comics.
I was so excited to go back and read this. Like it was probably one of the I read every week, but something about I'm gonna get to talk Ultimatum with you guys. Really let me up inside. Like reading these 5 issues, like before bed the past 2 nights, it's just so much fun. Like. It's nice to kind of get that vibe. I mean, sometimes I think you kind of take it for granted a little bit, but I think I think y'all have like valid reasons for liking comics and disliking comics and thinking that like comics are so silly. But I think it's so great that you have a medium and that can display all of that. Where if you want 1960s revamps, they're there for you. If you want very serious stories that are like really character driven and grounded, they're there for you. So I think that just shows really the strength of the medium and the art form. And yeah, comics are beautiful. Go read comics.
And to your point about it, like you enjoying to read this at night or whatever, it's like there is just going to be like a difference in like taste. Like I think I could just have fun with it. And yeah.
And that's what it is,
I find a joy in playing shitty games, and I'll hold on to the memories of like a really shitty game. I'm like, that was so fun to play through, even though it was shit. I still enjoyed playing it, and I think that I can't make people feel that when I'm like that joy too. But I feel that, and I probably don't feel the same way as much about shitty comics, but I can imagine being like, I love comics, and I even like reading ones that aren't great just for like the like this one is just craziness, and I could see there being a fun in that, even if I don't necessarily experience it.
It's also fun to just talk with friends about it. Which is
Yeah.
why, like, me and Joe and Ryan would just play the dumbest parts of certain comics, which is why Phil and Daryl would be like, wow, that sounds so fucking stupid. But it's fun to read a bad comic and just share that experience with your friends.
But to me, that's the thing, like, for comics that I think only comics do this well. And it's that, like, this whole podcast started because it was like me, Sly, and Joe would just go out to dinner every Tuesday night and just, like, bullshit and talk shop for a while. And the thing is, even like in college, like we would all sit, all the five of us and just talk about this stuff for hours. And like the thing that makes it is because comics are such a diverse medium, as Joe said, with such this rich history, that there's something that could catch the ear of anybody listening, that in a way that, like, when people describe like bad video games and stuff, I feel like you do have to have some level of understanding about like what it's like to play kind of games, to understand like why the controls being shitty is funny, or like I feel like comics, because they started as a medium for children and they're just this pure exploration of like morality and power dynamics, I think that it's more fun and not more fun, but it's easier to talk about these crazy things with the uninitiated for me than it is other mediums. Like I have a harder time talking about, like, if I'm talking about like the music I love, it's harder for me to talk to a random person about it, with like, if they don't have the same level of understanding as I do, or if they have more of a level of understanding. Whereas because comics are both so simple and so complicated, I feel like you can broach it in a way that's more interesting for any audience. And that's one thing, like when we started the show, a lot of the things that Sly picked, he would pick books that were like clickbaity sounding, and I feel like
Aunt May and Uncle Ben boning each other.
yeah, like Trevor.
No, that's a great book.
but not whether it's good or not.
It's good.
Or sure, but like that's something that, like, if I was to write, like, you can't. For me, I can't write about like, or pick albums that would be like, I gotta hear this for like 99% of the time. Whereas like a comic, I could see being like pitching it to somebody like you guys, Phil and Daryl, and you being like, I gotta hear more about what this is, or like pulling up a Wikipedia synopsis about how Johnny Storm's mom is secretly Dr. Doom. Like, I feel like you don't get those kind of, wait, what? Let's hash this out and talk as like friends goofing off for a while. Like, that to me is something that's purely like, it's so comics.
I think even beyond that, one of the most valuable things is like learning that comics have such a storied history behind it, where it's like every era influences another. And it's like, I know it's like every era is like this too, with like music and movies, but maybe it's because I just didn't think comics were like that, like, it was so contentious between editors and writers, or that there were like all the people like jumping from like Marvel or DC to Marvel, or then back to DC, and influencing how everything developed. It's so just interesting to me to see like how single writers or single artists just create giant ripples throughout the entire medium that like I never even thought about before.
But not even just that. Like, I completely agree with you, but that to me is the strength of the medium, because I don't think any other medium is inherently collaborative in the way that comics are. Because like when you have a movie, when you have a Quentin Tarantino movie, there's a lot of people working on it.
I feel like movies are very collaborative.
But
movies are, but not always writing wise.
Movies get to a point where it's a lot of people though, whereas comics can just be between a couple people sometimes.
Yeah, but it's a lot of people, and usually one man's vision though.
Yes. That's the main thing.
And there has to be consensus between all the set designers, the lighting directors, the actors, and the director. They have to be consensus on set for in advance of filming. While comic writers, you have people who have completely different visions of a character competing with each other to write that character.
Yeah, and when I say like collaborative, I'm not saying that like people's contributions to like a Quentin Tarantino movie don't matter. But what I mean is, it's still, as Joe just said, like it's still a singular vision that everyone is adopting to. And I know like not every movie is like that, but for comics, it inherently has to be between a writer and an artist. And even when it's and an editor and an inker and a letterer and a colorist and even
and the marketing department a lot of times.
But not only just that, but you're also collaborating with when in a shared universe like Marvel or DC, you're collaborating with every writer and artist and creator who's ever worked in this universe, whether you know it or not. And like as someone who as a musician, I'm influenced by different musicians and everything, but I'm not literally collaborating with their vision and directly engaging with their art in a way that you have to.
It's not like you're taking someone else's like band and then you're like, now we're this band.
Exactly. You're not writing a new Jimi Hendrix song or anything.
Now Ryan's Metallica.
And that's the kind of thing, like in movies too, you're influenced by different things or like homages and like different techniques and everything, but it's still not it's not as directly collaborative as it is in a shared narrative that doesn't exist anywhere else. And yes, it's messy, and yes, it gets in the way, but I think it's also like the thing that makes comics, as Joe said, beautiful. And I've mentioned this before, but like I was very overwhelmed by the continuity and stuff, but when Joe said, as silly as it sounds, I remember being in the cafeteria and Joe being like, hey, when you meet your friends, you don't know them right away, you don't know every detail about them, you pick it up as you get to know them better, you learn the details along the way. And maybe I didn't find out that Joe was also Carnage until recently, but
that's a secret. How dare you?
I find that really appealing because like most people are not gonna jump into a TV show on season 4, and most people aren't gonna watch the third movie in a franchise. Yes, some people do, but like that's not what the medium is designed for. But comics are inherently designed like no one is expecting you to start with issue 1, and I find that to be fascinating when you have to accept that, and not every writer can handle that.
Yeah, that's obviously the reason why in issue 1 they're all saying each other's names.
Yeah.
Like it's designed so anyone who's picking up the book for the first time can be like, oh, so this is Angel, this is Nightcrawler.
Yeah. I know. I just feel like there's a more natural way Loeb could have done.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like I use your names all the time, Daryl.
But it's one of those things that I find uniquely special about comics.
And just on the start from the beginning thing, comics are also very experimental. So like a lot of everyone's visions of the characters are not how they started out as. Like, if you love X-Men, you should probably start with, like, literally the 90s X-Men, because that's probably what you're thinking of. Like, if you read, like, 80s X-Men, it's completely different than what you're picturing. Because comics go to many different decades. So, people are saying, I should have to start from the beginning. If you want the characters you like, you probably shouldn't start from the beginning. You should start, like, you should just ask somebody, what's the best way to start? Like, X-Men should definitely never start at the beginning if you want, like, Wolverine and Jean Grey cuckolding Cyclops. So that doesn't happen until the 90s.
You gotta jump to the 70s for that, actually.
But even then, like, if you start from the beginning for X-Men 1, that's in a shared universe that had already existed for 20 years. Like, it's still not technically the beginning unless you start with Marvel Comics #1, which, like, is, and like nobody's gonna, like, not nobody, but very, very few people are gonna do
Weirdos
that.
like us are gonna do it.
Yeah, but like that's something that I think, like, I get why it's a turnoff for people, but that's the thing that is like it's a draw for me, because it's this sense of rich history that you don't really get as explicitly anywhere else.
Yep. And there's just cool stuff you can do with the medium in general, like wise or like storytelling wise. Like we saw a bunch of that in Shade and
Craven.
52 even. I was like, I really enjoyed that. Like,
I was not gonna say in this comic.
no.
But I mean, we talked about like layouts and the art and everything that helped. But one of the things about being truly collaborative too is like this book is terrible, but there's still like lots of stuff about the art that we really liked and appreciated. And like that's the thing, like when we read Cry for Justice, the art is great in that book, but the book's bad. You're getting a valid emotional response to it. Even if the story's bad, you're still gleaming off of more things. It's like when you listen to a band that might be a bad band, but their guitar player's really good or they have a great singer, you can latch on to aspects of it. But I feel like in comics, it's easier to compartmentalize it in ways because of like this rich tapestry that you can look for different elements a little easier and more explicitly. So anyway, let's end this podcast forever.
On that note,
after building up comics and talking about how great they are, we're not reading comics anymore.
I don't want to read any more fucking comics.
We kept all the serious stuff last time, so that's fine. We could we could still goof about it. Mm-hmm. But okay, does anybody have any final messages for everybody?
If you've been listening since like the early beginnings, or like you jumped in and you listened to the beginning, basically if you listen to the whole thing, Congratulations. That's a mighty feat.
Well, in general, thank you for your support.
Yeah.
You guys.
Oh, yeah,
Like
absolutely.
we said last time, you guys kept this show alive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we would not have done it without you guys messaging us and being like, Sly's wrong about this thing.
Yeah, that keeps me going, just knowing Sly's wrong.
He's not though.
Fuck you guys.
Well, thank you all for listening to Divisive Issues these past 4 years. I've been Ryan.
I've been Sly.
I've been Joe.
I've been Phil.
And I've been Daryl.
Stay in continuity.
No, pay for a reboot.